Are you a helpless moron perplexed by the world? Wish there was a device that enabled you to consult the Onion Book of Known Knowledge anytime, anywhere? Then you need the Book Bjorn, the amazing new wearable invention that makes you and the Onion Book of Known Knowledge inseparable. Never again be stumped by the panoply of bizarre objects filling your field of vision. Never take it off. Never be without it. All this for just 4 easy payments of $39.93. The Book Bjorn. The Book Bjorn. And if you call now, you'll receive the special page-turning wand. Turn pages with the greatest of ease. The special reading light to wrench knowledge from utter darkness. The book umbrella to protect the Onion Book of Known Knowledge's precious pages from the elements. Book Bjorn. This $800 value can be yours today. Send a check or money order to the Book Bjorn, care of the Zwiebel Center for Knowledge Studies, 15 Zwiebel Way, Macau, China. Do not hesitate. Buy now. The Book Bjorn.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live, and you're welcome to join us here on the radio. Our toll-free number for you is 855-450, free like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. We've also got the Discord on-air call-in line rooms. They're open and available to you over at discord.lrn.fm. With you tonight, it's Ian.
And the nobody formerly known as Rich Paul.
Nobody, you and I, we've got a lot in common. One of those things that we both love is cannabis.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it has been a brutal process going from prohibition, which was basically in place throughout our entire lifetimes, cannabis prohibition, to a state of somewhat lesser prohibition. Other people would call it legalization.
I would call it cartelization.
Cartelization. Okay. Now, why?
Well, because what the government has done in every case where they've legalized is they've introduced a regulatory scheme that turns the marijuana business over to a cartel of the state's selection, and that cartel is still being protected by the government from competition using deadly force. So that's not legalization. It's not a free market. It is they want to have a monopoly of connected people draining the pot smokers of money.
And that's the way it has been. I've got a story that's related to this coming out of Colorado, where, as you know, Colorado and Washington State were the first 2 states to legalize cannabis in the United States. And apparently it's already been 7 years. Can you believe it? 7 years.
Wow.
Since that passed. According to KUNC.org. Earlier this spring, police in Fort Collins seized 420 marijuana plants. Yes, 420, they say, that had been illegally grown inside area homes. Also recovered processed weed concentrate, guns, and approximately $110,000 in cash. It's part of what state and federal officials are calling the largest illegal marijuana market Colorado has ever seen. It's a puzzling situation, considering that back in 2012, proponents of Amendment 64 promised a regulated market would do away with illegal dealers and drug cartels. They say, in fact, it appears to have done just the opposite.
Well, you can't get rid of cartels by installing your own. That's not how any of this works.
Understanding the size of this illegal industry is complicated. The federal DEA, Drug Enforcement Agency, has seen the number of illegal marijuana plants that they seize each year steadily climb since 2014. So they've done more seizures every year since this thing has happened, since legalization happened. But that's not including the countless investigations led by local law enforcement, which often cross county lines and involve multiple agencies, making data analysis difficult. For Colorado's 18th Judicial District Attorney George Brochler says the number of black market marijuana cases in his office continues to grow. There have been 51 so far this year, and they now have 2 investigators dedicated to the issue. He said, quote, "I've only been doing this for 25 years, and I've never seen the black market as robust and as complicated and as expertly cultivated as this one right now." Now, I wonder why that is. I mean, we certainly know that in, let's say, Massachusetts, which is one of the newer states to have legalization, they just opened the doors on their first stores back in November of 2018. So it hasn't even been a full year since retail has been a thing. And we went down there. I don't think you were there for it, but Daryl and I and a couple other folks went down for the grand opening day just to kind of, see what it was like and take in all the excitement that people had, stand in line for 3 hours. And the prices were outrageous.
Oh, yeah. Well, they love the tax.
$100 is what you're probably going to pay for a quarter ounce of cannabis, maybe even more. You're going to pay $100 for a gram of concentrates. These are things that can go for as low as $30 to $50 in the black market. So I'm going to guess, without having actually gone through this whole story about Colorado, that the same thing is probably true there, where the increase in competition from the legal market, the increase in product, has probably dropped the price somewhat, because we've definitely seen prices dropping in the last 2 decades, and that's likely due to extra competition coming from growers on the West Coast. Instead of back in the old days, Rich, in the 90s or whenever, people were importing a lot of cannabis from Mexico. And while I'm sure that still happens, there's a heck of a lot more that's able to be grown now inside the United States. Easier, more legal-ish than it had ever been in the past. And so we don't know how much of the black market cannabis comes from legal grow operations that manage to shuffle some of it out the back door. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and one would imagine there would be. These are, a lot of the people in the weed business are people that have been victims of the drug war, and they recognize, a lot of the little people at least recognize that the regulations that they have are simply a way to continue to milk the consumer.
Right, and the prices are ridiculous. Let's go on, though, with this story. Brochure's district, which includes Arapahoe County and Douglas County, sees more of these cases than any other district. That includes one of the biggest busts on record, in which 80,000 plants were seized from a network of 41 houses. And these weren't rundown places either. Brochuler says these days illegal growers tend to set up shop inside unsuspecting suburban homes. He recalls one such bust that took place in an upscale retirement community. Quote, investigators were pulling 1,100 plants out of these relatively small homes in nice neighborhoods. He says that's incredible. Story here at KUNC goes on. It says the cannabis flowers and concentrates from these illegal grows are typically transported to states like Florida and Texas, where Brochuler said that Coloradan weed has its own brand recognition. It also sells for 3 to 4 times the local price, which that doesn't make any sense. Why would that be? It claims it's an added incentive considering illegal growers already avoid paying costly state regulations like product testing, licensing, and a 15% excise tax. Now, it's possible the person who's writing this story doesn't know a whole lot about cannabis. Maybe they've never, purchased any in the black market. But, I understand if Colorado weed is really good weed and it's like, it's been a while since I bought weed in Florida. That's where I used to live 15 or so years ago. But, back then you could get mid-grade, you could get lower end, what they would call regs back there. And usually those products would have seeds in them. And so I don't know if those things are still on the market down there. Maybe they are. In which case, yeah. If you've got a nice bag of some what they might call up here headies or high test cannabis, very high end cannabis, that could sell for 3 or 4 times what a bag of seedy kind of crappy regs will sell for. But I'm talking about 1990s late 90s prices. I can't imagine that, given the drop in the pricing structure of cannabis generally in the last 20 years. It's hard to imagine that even regs as we knew it still even exists. I haven't seen that in 2 decades almost.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like the price of regs or middies. It doesn't seem like those prices have dropped. The products have just disappeared because the price of headies has dropped down to very little more
these days
far
now.
as I
yeah,
can tell.
Right. These days, the high-end cannabis can sell for as cheap as what we would have called mids back in the late 90s would have sold for. So
Right.
the product quality has gone up substantially compared to what it was. But there's more to the story here. Why is there such a robust black market? And I think, we're going to get into some more of the details on this. Some people are scratching their heads trying to figure this out. And the reality is, it's because the government has restricted the marketplace. And we can get into that with licensing and fees and taxes and regulations. Who the hell wants to grow under those kind of strictures? 855-450-FREE is our toll-free number. It's Free Talk Live.
Do you have a crypto wealth advisor or coach? If so, has your cryptocurrency advisor been investing in technology stocks for over 20 years? Have they left the corporate world and retired? Or are they still trying to make a weekly paycheck? Have they produced six-figure results for their customers in the past 30 days? And very importantly, are they a member of the Digital Currency Council? Seth Maniscalco is the founder of Crypto Wealth Coach and CryptoWealthCoach.com. Seth invested in his first Roth IRA at 19 years old while living abroad and has been investing in Wall Street and technology for over 20 years with experience in all the money markets. By comparison, so many of these so-called crypto gurus have barely been alive for 20 years. Seth has not only experienced personal success from his own investments in crypto, he has also helped his clients earn 6- and 7-figure incomes, including helping investors make over $750,000 in EOS in 90 days and 1,225% in only 5.5 months with Chainlink. Seth has help for the small do-it-yourself guy on up to crypto whales. Increase your wealth. Visit CryptoWealthCoach.com.
You love Bitcoin. It's the future, right? Well, no, not if everyone stops using it. I mean, think about it. How many places in your town take Bitcoin? One? None? Let's be real. If this Bitcoin thing is ever going to happen, it's going to need your help. The good news is, the guys at AnyPay have your back. We built a website called HelpMeTakeBitcoin.com. And it's a place you can send any business. And they'll be set up to take Bitcoin in 5 minutes. HelpMeTakeBitcoin.com.
You're not a wild animal, and you shouldn't be tagged and tracked like one. Where you go and what you do every minute of the day, tracked and recorded by your mobile phone, is often more revealing than your browser history. And tech companies make a fortune selling your location history without your consent. Go Dark Bags prevent location tracking and protect your privacy by instantly blocking all cell phone, GPS, and Wi-Fi signals to your mobile device. Plus, they're durable, water-resistant, and built for a lifetime of protection. Visit GoDarkBags.com/FTL. That's GoDarkBags.com/FTL.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippie! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you gotta keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadadi.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get 1 free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
Did you know that Free Aid is a mutual aid, educational, and networking organization? At Free Aid, we support volunteers who provide first aid. We do outreach to the public about health and safety, and we bring together medically skilled freedom lovers. Free Aid is made possible by your generous support. Donors can receive great gifts like first aid kits, t-shirts, silver dime cards, and hoodies. The Free Aid Silver Dime Card Project is sponsored in part by Roberts & Roberts Brokerage, Freedom's Phoenix, and Don't Tread on Meme. Visit fr33aid.com.
Join the LRN.FM Discord for live chat 24/7 at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
It is Free Talk Live. You can dial in toll free and join us here. Our number is 855-450-FREE. Like freedom, it's 855-450-3733. With you tonight, it's Ian.
And nobody.
So we're talking about what I think for some people is going to be a surprise about Colorado, where back in 2012 they voted to legalize cannabis, and it wasn't too long after that they opened the doors on retail establishments. They spread all across the state. Marijuana tax revenue started to, and I believe eclipsed, if I recall correctly, and then eclipsed revenue from alcohol, or at the very least beer, in the state, which is that's what they wanted, right? That's the reason why they put the tax scheme in. In addition to wanting to control things, they also want money. They being the government goons, they want money out of this, and that's unfortunately the way that most of these legalization schemes are going to go, where there's going to be some sort of regulatory structure and some taxing scheme placed on top of this particular business. And so that's why you're seeing a bustling and busy black market, even in states where they have legalization.
Yeah, I mean, basically they take a big old crayon, and in their wisdom, they draw a line through the market, and they call some of it black, and then they say, why is there a black market? You declared it black, that's all. That's the only reason.
Right. You created this. I mean, it was going to exist. You just made it illegal.
Right.
And the people who have been growing cannabis forever, when they're given the choice of growing and or selling and distributing cannabis forever, when they're given the choice of, well, do you want to get in and jump through all these legal hoops and get into the legal cannabis business, or do you just want to keep doing what you've been doing successfully for the last however long you've been doing it? Now, obviously, there's no guarantee that you're not going to get arrested in those circumstances, but even if you try jumping through the legal hoops, there's no guarantee they're not going to ruin your life and shut down your business and possibly arrest you.
That is what they do.
Edge Wallet, by the way, is my favorite cryptocurrency wallet. It's a multi-crypto wallet, in fact. You can go to edge.app to learn more about how you can secure your freedom with support for various different cryptocurrencies: Bitcoin, BTC, plus Dash and Bitcoin Cash, Ethereum, and a variety of Ethereum tokens, Monero, Ripple, Stellar, and more. They just added Ravencoin, actually, to Edge Wallet. So head on over to edge.app or just download it for your iOS or Android device, and it allows you to buy, sell, trade, and securely hold your cryptocurrencies. Once again, that's Edge Wallet. Go to the website, edge.app. As we continue with more from KUNC.org with their report on the busy black market, they're saying, the bureaucrats are saying, they're actually doing more busts and more arrests now. They've been increasing year after year ever since legalization. And maybe that's because they can focus even more resources on this as well. Back in the day, they were popping people for possession probably by the thousands every single year. Technically, they don't do that anymore. Unless you have a whole lot of weed, you're probably going to be able to walk away from an encounter with a police officer. So that's more police hours that they can focus on busting illegal grow operations and that sort of thing. According to the story here, dodging the rule book is perhaps most insulting who work in Colorado's legal marijuana industry, like Scott Brady, who manages Smokies 420, a marijuana grow and dispensary in Weld County. Quote, "Each time somebody in the black market sells a gram, they're taking that right out of my people's pockets at the end of the day."
Because we own the market and we own the customers, is what he's saying there. You don't get to go somewhere else. Only we who are of the selected, we who are of the cartel, are are permitted to participate. And it's funny because I don't understand. This is exactly what happens when a drug cartel is running illegal meth sales in say New Mexico, and another dealer, one who isn't associated with the cartel, moves into their turf.
The territory.
Well, what do? They hire hitmen and kill the new dealer.
Yep.
Okay. Well, in this case, the cartel is the legal market. The hitman or the dealer is still the rival dealer, and the hitman is the government.
Goons. Wow, that is. I think that really sums it up. Nobody.
And Milton Friedman in the pointed that out, that basically the government acts as a protection racket.
Absolutely.
For legal drug companies while trying to crush the competition. And this is very important because I know of a guy who has need of ADD meds, and it would cost him a couple $100 a month to get ADD meds legally.
Right.
But he can get them for $50 off the dark web.
Really?
The same amount.
So you're avoiding the doctor's fees and all the waiting and
because you not only have to pay for the drug and pay an inflated price for the drug here, you have to pay off a doctor to have permission to have the drug.
Now, I wonder if those drugs are being shipped in from overseas where they're available more readily and they are cheaper generally. Because I've heard that American drug prices for actual manufactured drugs are more expensive than other countries.
Yeah, well, other countries regulate the prices that the drug companies pay, and so basically the drug companies then turn around and they still got a captive market in the United States, so they just jack the prices here, and that way the United States gets to pay for the medical care of the whole world.
So this attitude by this regulated player in the market, this guy who's all upset about the illegal grow ops and black market dealers, this is a very similar attitude as to what you see, let's say, in the radio business, in doing broadcast radio. If somebody puts up a pirate radio transmitter, the FCC is not going to know about it by default. They don't have listening posts. They don't have people that they pay to monitor. They only find out when someone complains. And almost always, the party that complains about a pirate radio operator is
a plunderer.
One of the legal, licensed radio stations. Because it's the attitude of, well, I've been abused, and so now everybody should be abused. I've jumped through all these arbitrary hoops these bureaucrats put up, and it costs me time, and it costs me money, and damn it, everybody else should have to jump through all those hoops. How dare all you out there just do all your business without asking for permission? It's a real it's a sickness.
Yeah. Especially, for people, they've been presumably this guy who's running the legal cannabis industry and screaming for government to shut down his competition. Surely he was a victim of the drug war before.
Maybe.
Days, at least in that he was pushed in underground by it. Of course, if you've actually been victimized by
you probably can't
by the war on drugs,
shop.
Like I will never be able to work in the legal cannabis industry
because you have a felony.
Because I was victimized by the government by the drug war.
We'll continue. If you want to join us, our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. If you're in a legal state, are you buying legally or off the black market? What's your story? It's Free Talk Live. I want to tell you about my favorite cryptocurrency wallet, Edge Wallet, at edge.app. Edge is the wallet I use more than any other, and that was true long before Edge Wallet became a sponsor of Free Talk Live. Edge Wallet allows you to buy, sell, trade, and securely hold your cryptocurrencies, including Bitcoin, Ethereum, tokens, Monero, Ripple, Dash, Bitcoin Cash, and more. It's available for both Android and iOS, and you can download it via the Play or App Store or via Edge Wallet's website, edge.app. Secure your freedom with Edge Wallet.
Gold has definitely been on the move recently, and there is no more secure investment historically. McIlvaney ICA has been helping people take delivery of precious metals and find storage options for decades. They've helped thousands of investors with their precious metal IRAs. Call ICA today for your free portfolio review at 800-525-9556 or download their free report online at ICAGoldSilver.com to learn how you can double your gold and silver ounces even within an IRA. 800-525-9556. ICAGoldSilver.com.
Hey guys, Mark Claire here, lionsofliberty.com, where we strive to advance the ideas of liberty daily. We bring you the Morning Roar. That's right, every Monday to Friday we'll have a brand new edition of the Morning Roar, where we provide a roundup of some news stories that you may not find in the mainstream media or even in your typical social media newsfeed. We find stories that relate to the ideas of liberty and provide you with our liberty perspective on them. Every Monday, we have our longest-running feature, Mondays with Murray, named after the great libertarian Murray Rothbard, where we'll examine an article or an excerpt from his works and help convey his view, along with our little spin as well. We wrap it all up every Friday with Felony Friday, where our own John Odermatt goes out and takes a look at some sort of felony. There's felonies committed every day, you know, whether it's a felony committed by the police, a politician, or even an average citizen. You can find all of this and so much more over at lionsofliberty.com. Advancing the ideas of liberty daily.
Bitcoin.com has launched a trading platform at local.bitcoin.com, allowing you to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash via dozens of payment methods like PayPal, Venmo, bank deposit, remittances, or meeting in person with cash. There are no ID requirements to sign up for and use the site, and all communications between buyers and sellers are encrypted. Finally, a global trading platform that respects your privacy. Visit local.bitcoin.com to get started trading Bitcoin Cash. Local.bitcoin.com. So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
Don't you hate that feeling in the pit of your stomach when the police pull you over? Most people have no idea how to handle it properly, and they promptly get fed into the municipal fee-generating meat grinder. Or maybe you recall that feeling you get when you go to the mailbox and see one or more letters from the IRS. You get a sense of impending doom, don't you? So let me ask you, if you could learn how to use the law to beat the IRS, traffic tickets, almost any courtroom scenario, collectors, credit card debt, and even mortgage debt because of fraud perpetrated against you, would that be worth knowing about? Don't laugh. Investigate. Check out the life-changing benefits of the Lighthouse Law Club at their website, lighthouselaw.club. That's lighthouselaw.club. And while you're at it, visit the Lighthouse Law Club YouTube channel. You might be in for a pleasant surprise.
Live video of our Keene, New Hampshire-based shows is streamed on DLive. Please follow and share at dlive.lrn.fm. That's dlive.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live, and you can take control of the airwaves toll-free. The number is 855-450-FREE. We're talking about the effects of legalization, or perhaps cartelization is a better term for that. One thing it is not the end of prohibition. And just in the same way that alcohol prohibition didn't really come to an end, it just changed forms in a way that made alcohol more accessible. The prohibition, of course, continues on the manufacturing and the distribution and, in a lot of cases, the acquisition of alcohol. It's still a very, very controlled substance, and that's true of cannabis. And in fact, a story here from KUNC.org gets into detail about exactly, or not exactly, but what some of the burdens are that are placed on these legal cannabis distributors and growers. With you here in the studio tonight, by the way, it's Ian.
And nobody.
And I also want to make sure that you know about Liberty.menu. If you are an individual who rejects the initiation of force and you agree to abide by the ethics of the non-aggression principle, you really ought to get over to Liberty.menu and get the thing that you do listed on the site. It's a map-based site. They've got, of course, reviews and ratings, and there's even a bit of a social network aspect to allow you to connect and share with others on the site. But whether you've got a business that's liberty-friendly or an event that you want to promote or perhaps digital content that you're a creator of, you can share that easily with the Liberty community by going to Liberty.menu, and you can use code FTL to get a special listener badge to show folks that you are a Free Talk Live listener, because we can't give you a discount. The site's free. So head over to Liberty.menu. And let's go to your calls and thoughts. More on this story about the cannabis here in just a moment. But Reginald is on the line, calling us from New York. You're on Free Talk Live.
How you guys doing tonight?
Good. You're on the air.
All right.
Thank you very much. Well, I was talking about this with my friend a couple days ago in Philadelphia, specifically West Philadelphia. And these guys were up to trouble in our neighborhood, you know. And I got in one little fight. My mom got scared, and she told me that I was living with my auntie and uncle in Bel Air after that.
How many seasons did that last for? Oh, he hung up. All right, well, thanks for the call. Toll-free number, 855-450-FREE. Yeah, I don't think we have to explain that joke, but there may be some people who are in the audience that don't recognize the lyrics.
Yeah, you got to look up the Fresh Prince of Bel Air.
That was the show that made Will Smith, basically kicked him into high gear as far as him being a superstar. I mean, he was kind of already a thing because his musical career, but that really kind of made him into an actor / musical versatile guy.
Yeah, and it mainstreamed him also.
Yeah, for sure. So back to the story here, KUNC.org, talking about Colorado several years into legalization, how the black market is thriving there. More busts than, I guess, previously, and the police say they've been increasing. Smokies 420 is a marijuana grow operation and dispensary that's legal in Weld County, and Scott Brady, who's its manager, is mad. He's mad about all those people who aren't jumping through the same hoops that he is just to sell a plant to people. The story says the state requires companies like Smokies 420 to document every gram of marijuana from seed to sale. Everything from the specifications of the facility to the pesticides and soils must be documented and approved by the Marijuana Enforcement Division.
So the morons who forbade it now presume to tell us how it should be grown, how it should be used, because I don't understand. Are these people psychotic?
Yes. Yes. And that is why it's hard to understand. They've got a real control thing, man. They really want to be in control of everything. They want to get any piece of, any money that travels between people's hands. They want to get a cut of it. And anything that you do, they want to tell you how. It's not just cannabis. It's just that now cannabis is legal, so they've cooked up a bunch of rules, and then they've all hit the copy and paste button, basically, because the similar rules probably exist in many states.
Only privileged people can participate.
Right.
That's the rule.
The marijuana elite. If you can't afford whatever the licensing fees are, whatever the obedience costs are, because you've probably got to hire attorneys to get you through all the paperwork without, because if you screw the paperwork up, you might go to prison, right? So you got to watch out on that stuff. So you better hire an attorney, and
better be white too. It's pretty hard for there are very few minorities.
Don't worry,
legalization.
nobody, because in Massachusetts they gave licenses to minorities first.
Oh, that's kind of weird too.
Don't worry, there's still a minority elite as well when it comes to marijuana grow and distribution. But going on here, so again, they track every single gram of cannabis, and Brady says staying compliant in this industry is more than a full-time job. So, translation, that means you have to hire people. So if you just thought you could grow some marijuana plants and sell it from your shop, sorry. It's more than a full-time job, according to this guy, to just do the compliance work. So in the same way that doctors have to hire a bunch of people just to fill out paperwork for the government and insurance companies, that there's literally reams of paperwork they have to go through, same things happen in the marijuana industry. Now you've got to hire compliance employees whose job is to do nothing but make sure all the charts are correct and the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted. And you know what that does? Brings the price up.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Brady says he's... Oh, okay. But he's okay with it because he insists that it ensures public safety, something he's certain black market growers care nothing about.
Oh God! I'm gonna call this guy tomorrow. I'm gonna give this guy a call and I'm gonna tell him what I think of him. This guy should be taken out and maimed.
Quote. They're gonna be all about making a buck. They don't care whether or not a person comes back next week.
And you don't care if people go to prison for your monopoly position, scumbag.
Yeah, I gotta say, I've never, in the history of, knowing about black market cannabis, knowing some dealers here and there, I've never heard of a problem with people dying from smoking cannabis. What is this guy suggesting?
No, people die from pigs. Yeah. Police kill them.
Right. What is this guy suggesting? Look, if somebody doesn't come back, if you're a black market dealer and somebody didn't come back next week or next month to your business, it probably means one of two things. One, they quit smoking cannabis, or two, they found a better price somewhere else. Or maybe they moved.
Yeah.
3.
Yeah, I've never heard of a death from marijuana.
Ridiculous.
Still.
I mean, the fact that this guy is in this business and trotting out all these old just myths and lies about cannabis it's shameful.
Oh, it is.
Whenever Colorado weed is seized by law enforcement in another state, Brady says it gives the whole industry a bad reputation, as if businesses like his are the ones feeding this illegal supply chain.
Oh no, the bootlickers are the ones who are feeding the violence.
Exactly. Now, there may be some legal businesses who are selling illegally. I don't doubt that exists. I've mentioned previously one way that can work, because even though the government wants to, and this is just my understanding, I'm not a professional grower, but it's my understanding, grows range as far as what one plant can output, right? So you might get X from one plant of size, one size, and get Y from a plant that's the same size. You don't exactly know. You may know what seed you planted. You may know how much you watered the seed, but you don't know exactly what's going to come out of it. And so if you only harvest, let's say, I don't know what typical harvests are, like an ounce, maybe ounce or more out of a full-grown plant.
I think you could get a pound
couple ounce,
out
pound.
Of a plant.
You only, if you only harvest a half a pound and then another quarter pound falls onto the floor into a separate tray that then gets bagged up and sold on the black market, without a regulator standing right there to see it happen, how would they really know what came off that plant? So there's more coming up here, but these jealous legal business owners are a real problem. We'll continue with it here in moments. You can share your thoughts. Do you buy in the black market in legal states? Free Talk Live.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Slingbow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of Slingbow, a new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
The Genesis Communications Network is one of America's premier broadcasters of captivating talk radio. We thank you for listening. Now, just imagine, there are thousands of people who are just as passionate about radio as you are. But what you may not realize is how easy and affordable it is to advertise with us. Radio commercials for your business could be heard on hundreds of radio stations across the U.S. every day. We can help you by creating an effective radio advertising campaign for your company. From script writing to producing your commercials, commercial, just like the one you're listening to right now. No other network provides the level of customer service we do. When it comes to radio advertising, we are your one-stop shop. And no matter how big or small your business is, we can help. Email us at advertise@gcnlive.com, and an experienced advertising executive will help you take the first step towards driving more customers to your business or website. Advertise at gcnlive.com. Easy, affordable, effective.
Most of you know that heart disease is the #1 silent killer in the U.S. What if I told you for just $54.95 a month you could fight against heart disease naturally? At Heart and Body Extract, we've been helping thousands of people get back to a healthier heart. Don't just take my word for it. Check out all of the success stories at hbextract.com, or to order, call 866-295-5305. That's 866-295-5305. hbextract.com. Don't risk it when you can take charge of it.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this, right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com. If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
I'm crazy about My Magic Mud. This is the most important oral care product created this millennium, and I'm not kidding. We all have different opinions on politics and issues, but we all have mouths. And I want yours to be as clean as possible, with teeth as bright as they were meant to be. I will never be without My Magic Mud. It's a little surprising, but man, does it work. If you only listen to one thing I say ever, go to mymagicmud.com and get 20% off with code FTL. mymagicmud.com, code FTL.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
This is Free Talk Live. You're invited. If you want to join us here, the toll-free number, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We're talking about the legal marijuana business versus the continuing black market, which they say in states like Colorado, where legalization's been around for years now, the black market is also still around and doing maybe better than it's ever done. With you in the studio tonight, it's Ian.
And nobody.
And by the way, I want to say thank you to Curry Taylor, who is a Free Talk Live Silver Amplifier. Curry contributes $5 a month to the AMP program. That's what we ask for at AMP. AMP stands for Advertise, Market, and Promote. It's a way for you to help us get on more radio stations around the country and bring new listeners to the ideas of freedom. So if you value what we do here and you want to see us on more than 200 stations, we're on like 204, I think, right now. If you want us to hit 300, 250, it's doable. It just takes money. It takes time. So head over to the AMP program. You'll get some benefits, some perks as a result of being part of the AMP program, and you can join it with credit card or PayPal or even Bitcoin BTC at ampamp.freetalklive.com. So we're talking about the story from KUNC.org that's just sort of wondering, well, how come there's all this black market marijuana out there? I thought we had legalization. They're clueless as to, or at least they act clueless as to why the black market continues to thrive in a legal environment. And the answer, of course, the short version is regulation.
And taxation.
Yeah, regulation and taxation drives, in the same way that prohibition drives everything underground. When you slightly lessen prohibition, which is what regulation and taxation is, then you're still going to drive stuff underground. It's just some of it's going to come above ground, and some people are going to choose the legal route. They understand that it's costly and that it's time-consuming. One of these business owners says it's more than a full-time job just to do the compliance aspect of selling and growing cannabis. But he's willing to do it, he claims, because he believes that it's about public safety, which is just a load of garbage, number one. Look, I get the claim that if you're in the black market, you don't know what kind of pesticides have been used, and you don't know the history of the cannabis that's that you've purchased and that you may be smoking. But the reality is, it's a pretty safe black market, all things considered. I mean, I've known a lot of people who've smoked a bunch of cannabis that they've purchased on the black market, and they seem to be doing just fine.
Yeah, I've survived it all.
Because there may be some people who, let's say they got sick off of smoking some of their black market cannabis. Odds are that came from mold more so than anything else. And that in the black market, that sometimes there's a long delay between the harvest and the customer because of the different amount of hands that it gets passed through. But most dealers, they do want to see their customers come back. They don't want their customers dying from smoking cannabis. I mean, this guy in the legal business who's claiming that black market people don't care about their customers is ridiculous. And I don't think, if he's saying that sort of thing, I don't think he did work in the black market. And if he did, he ought to be ashamed of himself for changing sides like he did.
Yeah, absolutely. A traitor.
Let me go on here from kunc.org. It says here, when black market weed is sold in Colorado, it diverts sales away from law-abiding businesses. Illegal growers can offer lower prices than legitimate dispensaries can afford, he said. Quote, I don't think those guys understand the damage they do to our industry. Oh, competition is damage to your industry?
Yeah. Well, every monopolist thinks that.
How an underground market managed to take root around the same time that Colorado moved towards legalization is unclear. This is what the article says. KUNC. Newsflash. They didn't just take root when legalization happened. It was already rooted. The black market was already in existence. Some people may have come out of the shadows, so to speak, but it wasn't like, poof, all of a sudden the seeds were planted for a black market to spring up. That was there for decades.
The black market has been defeating the pigs for a century.
Right. They've been losing the war on drugs consistently. Brochler believes the answer lies in early marijuana legislation. Now, this is an interesting theory. So apparently in the year 2000, voters passed Amendment 20, which gave medical marijuana patients permission to grow as many plants as their physician recommended. Brochler says illegal growers exploited this loophole to operate out of law enforcement's reach. According to the Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment, in 2016, there were 8,210 people with permission to grow between 50 and 99 plants. If each patient grew 50 plants, that equals 410,000 marijuana plants that are legal under the marijuana grow situation. Now, there's probably not as much tracking involved because these are supposed to be plants for an individual to consume for medical purposes. So it probably doesn't have the same tagging and, tracking requirements that the legal market does. And so I can see that, like I said, it's an interesting theory. If you were a black market marijuana grower, it would be in your best interest to find a couple of dozen sick people, patients who needed access to cannabis, who are willing to be your grow tenders, who didn't need all the cannabis they were growing and who could just shuffle the rest of it out the back door to you. So you pay for all their, if you're the head of the operation, you pay for all the grow equipment. You give them maybe a little bit of money, on the side to pay for the power bill from whatever the lights, cost. And you give them access to all the free weed they can smoke. And in return, they give you, say, 50% or 70% or whatever. I mean, I'm just talking out loud here about one way that could work. And that's not to say that every grow operation is using that particular loophole. Obviously not. They're still arresting people. Brochler and, last year, they say a new law curtailed the official number to no more than 12 plants in a private residence. But at this point, it's hard to put the toothpaste back in the tube. The question, asks KUNC, is how to effectively thwart a thriving industry. Well, this is a question they've been asking and failing at answering for decades now.
You don't.
Yeah, you can't. You can try. You can, conduct undercover sting operations. You can threaten people. You can turn people into informants. You can use FLIR, the night vision or radiation vision goggles they've got from helicopters to find grow out. There's all kinds of techniques that they've been using unsuccessfully for the most part for a long time. And, it's going to be even harder now because of some of the legal provisions that are in place. Brochler and Brady agreed that if more states legalized cannabis, it would deal a heavy blow to illegal growers, though it wouldn't put them under entirely. I guess the suggestion there is if more states legalized cannabis, the illegal growers wouldn't be able to sell as easily to other black market dealers in those states.
Yeah, well, there would be. I mean, the black market in Colorado is grown in part because people are growing in Colorado and shipping elsewhere.
Sure.
If the places they were shipping to legalized drugs, then that part of the black market or legalized weed, then that part of the market of the black market dealers in Colorado would go to white market dealers in the states that legalize.
Some of it.
Some of it. Not all of it, because you assume that the tyrants in the new legal state would also have a regulation scheme, would also be trying to divert all of that money to their cronies, their friends, the people who are willing to pay off the politicians.
Which is one of the reasons why, if New Hampshire politicians were smart, and if they actually cared about freedom, and I don't think there are enough of them that are, and that do, then they would make it so there are no regulations in New Hampshire. When New Hampshire ends,
that's the only way to eliminate the black market.
Right. And what that would do, in addition to making New Hampshire's cannabis industry robust and all inclusive, everybody who wanted to should be able to open a store and grow and sell and give away cannabis in whatever way they want to. If that were the case, if that were the case for, let's say, a couple years or even just for a few months, and then the federal government lifted the prohibition on interstate sale of cannabis, well, then New Hampshire would be the king of all of the states because they would then be able to sell their cannabis outside of state borders. And the fact of cannabis being able to cross state lines and have competitive markets between the states would result in tremendous price drops. And if New Hampshire didn't have the regulatory burdens that the other states did, all the growers would move to New Hampshire.
The freest places always become the richest places.
The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We'll take your calls. There's a little bit more here on this cannabis story, and then actually a follow-up, since we were talking about what's going to happen in D.C. Well, this is one of the more marijuana-friendly Congresses that I think the country's ever had, and there's some interesting developments there as well. Hour 2's next. If you want to take control, you can do that. It's Free Talk Live.
Anarchadelphia is a conference dedicated to the principles of liberty, individual sovereignty, and freedom from coercion, located in Philadelphia, the cradle of liberty. Anarchadelphia seeks to shed light on issues such as geopolitics, blockchain economics, spiritual health and wellness, as well as exposing the Earth's sacred hidden knowledge, featuring Mark Passio, Max Egan, Derek Brose, Jeff Berwick, and many more this September 13th through 15th. For info and tickets, visit anarchadelphia.com.
Bitcoin.com has launched a trading platform at local.bitcoin.com, allowing you to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash via dozens of payment methods like PayPal, Venmo, bank deposit, remittances, or meeting in person with cash. There are no ID requirements to sign up for and use the site, and all communications between buyers and sellers are encrypted. Finally, a global trading platform that respects your privacy. Visit local.bitcoin.com to get started trading Bitcoin Cash. local.bitcoin.com.
There are basically two types of advertising, direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer-term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and one with just the Edgington Post. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next, after the news, here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
This is the Liberty Beat, your daily source for liberty news and activist updates. Produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. Online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow with your latest edition of the Liberty Beat. Gold is trading at $1,502, silver at $16.96, and Bitcoin is trading around $10,930. Today's prices are brought to you by InnoScale. Take off with Managed Cloud. Looking for a safe, secure way to store your important files online? Let InnoScale handle it for you. Their high-availability cloud servers are the perfect solution for clients needing one or more secure, scalable servers with built-in hardware failover protection. For details, see them online at innoscale.net. In the news, the morning of Jeffrey Epstein's death, shouting and shrieking could be heard from his jail cell, according to CBS News, while guards attempting to revive him were saying, "Breathe, Epstein, breathe." The Mind Unleashed reports that Epstein, who was reportedly in good spirits recently, meeting with his lawyers for up to 12 hours a day to discuss his case, was found hanging in his lower Manhattan jail cell with a bedsheet around his neck, which was reportedly secured to the top of a bunk bed. On Monday, Attorney General William Barr said the Epstein case was personally important to him and that the prison had, quote, serious irregularities, end quote. Notably, the staff at MCC reportedly violated prison protocol by failing to check on the high-profile inmate every 30 minutes. Epstein, whose defense attorney successfully lobbied for him to be taken off suicide watch about a week before he was found dead, was also supposed to have a cellmate. In a rare show of bipartisanship, the House Judiciary Committee has sent a letter to the acting director of the Bureau of Prisons demanding answers. The Liberty Beat is sponsored in part by Brave Botanicals. High-quality kratom and CBD at reasonable prices with excellent customer service. Brave Botanicals is activist-owned and mission-driven, and believes so strongly in the power of kratom, they're giving it away for free. Just go to freeounceofkratom.com for a free ounce of kratom delivered to your door. Just pay shipping. That's freeounceofkratom.com. This is the latest edition of the Liberty Beat. Find us online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. Your news now continues. Farmers facing record bankruptcies and collapsing incomes due to President Donald Trump's escalating trade war with China were not amused by U.S. Agriculture Secretary Sonny Perdue's joke about their economic pain during an event in Minnesota last week. Perdue told an audience of thousands of farmers gathered in a barn near Morgan, Minnesota, quote, "I had a farmer tell me this in Pennsylvania." And then the punchline, quote, "What do you call two farmers in a basement? A wine cellar," end quote. Some laughed at the Agriculture Secretary's joke, but other farmers booed and denounced Perdue's wisecrack as callous and tone-deaf mockery of the real hardship caused by the Trump administration's trade policies. Perdue's characterization of struggling farmers as whiners came after the Trump administration announced it will impose a 10% tariff on $300 billion of Chinese goods starting September 1st, a significant escalation in the ongoing trade war between the two global powers. It looks as though something big was taking place around Area 51 over the weekend, according to fragmented reports from various sources compiled by The Drive. The Mind Unleashed reports that the report notes that significant tests could have been happening over the weekend after learning that notices to airmen had been published that mark certain areas within the Nevada test and training range off limits to any air traffic at any altitude. The notices to airmen are generally for military air crews, not civilian or commercial air traffic. They were first pointed out by an aviation enthusiast on Twitter. In addition to the notices, there were also reports of odd Janet flights, the nickname for the nonstop flights to Area 51 from Las Vegas's airport by onlookers. This activity was described as unusual and is speculated to be indicative of a major test event near Area 51. Support for the Liberty Beat comes from the Conscious Resistance Network, featuring videos, news reports, and articles from a spiritual anarchist perspective. Experience the Conscious Resistance at theconsciousresistance.com. How would you like to have your business featured on the Liberty Beat? You can. Just send an email to libertybeat@snls.news for details. This is the Liberty Beat, produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. The Liberty Beat is online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow, reporting for the Liberty Beat, reminding you, spread liberty with a smile.
According to a new report, the vast majority of Americans simply want to be safe, happy, rich, comfortable, entertained, thin, and romantically fulfilled. The Onion spoke to a few of the survey's respondents who also claimed they want to be healthy, fulfilled, and successful and energized at all times.
All I want is a low-stress job, a nice house, affordable health care, and low gas prices, you know? It'd be nice to have a 35-hour work week, delicious food that's actually good for me, strong friendships, and free high-speed Wi-Fi wherever I go.
I think I'm entitled to wealth, love, cheap education, a fair legal process.
According to the survey, 63% of all Americans want their summers to be hot but not too hot. 85% want the government to stop all wars, end world hunger, and make quick and easy weight loss possible. 93% want to be emotionally satisfied, plus a soulmate, unconditional love from their parents, and a big happy dog.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live. You may join us here. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. Now, if you're buying your cannabis on the black market in states in which there is a legalization scheme in effect, we would love to hear from you. You don't have to give us your real name in order to get on the air. Maybe you're concerned about that. Although, that said, I don't think it's a crime. I'm not an attorney, but I don't think it's a crime to actually buy weed in the black market as a customer.
No.
It's a crime probably to sell the cannabis in the black market in these states, but to be the buyer, you're probably not at any real risk.
I don't think so, no.
Yeah, as long as you're buying less than whatever the legal amount is that you can possess, the risk should be near to zero. On the customer's end. But with you tonight, by the way, it's Ian.
And nobody.
Nobody, you and I have been discussing this story out of Colorado's KUNC.org, which is just expressing wild confusion about why it is that the black market is still thriving in a place that has had legalization for going on 7 years now at this point. And for those of you just tuning in, the simple solution or the simple answer is it's because of legalization. It's because of the regulatory and taxing structure put into place. And the only thing that can solve this is the end of those structures, is to terminate the Department of, bureaucracy of marijuana or whatever they call themselves. There's some sort of regulatory agency out there to shut that. Okay, they're called the Marijuana Enforcement Division. So to shut down the Marijuana Enforcement Division, and the Colorado Department of Agriculture apparently is involved, repeal all of those rules and regulations around how you need to grow marijuana. Because look, you don't need to have a bunch of government bureaucrats coming up with rules that are likely being concocted by the most influential members of the industry in the first place. The ones who can afford to jump through all of these regulatory hoops, they're the ones who likely come up with the hoops into which people must jump. And so, of course, the more hoops there are, the more difficult it is to get into the legal business. And the more people who might have wanted to sell legally will just either throw up their hands in frustration and not do it at all, or they'll go into the underground and do it anyway without following any of the stupid rules.
Yep, and that's how the justice system works.
It is, and so they interviewed a couple of people. One of them, I believe, is a district attorney in Colorado. Another one is a business owner, a legal business owner, who's not happy with the fact that people are competing with him, but not jumping through all the hoops he's jumping through. So it says here in the story, well, how do you thwart a thriving industry? They both agreed that if more states legalized cannabis, it would deal a heavy blow to illegal growers, though it wouldn't put them under entirely. Legalization, they say, seems to be the one solution everyone can agree with. Even Lloyd, who asked that we only use his middle name because he works in the illegal marijuana market, sees it as the biggest threat. Lloyd says he doesn't physically transport anything across state borders. Instead, he likes to think of himself as a concierge, connecting growers in Colorado with major sellers in states where marijuana is still illegal, particularly the Bible Belt. He said, quote, anywhere marijuana is not tolerated at all is usually where the price is going to be the highest. He boasted that there are entire cities that wouldn't have access to marijuana were it not for him.
Oh, come on.
That's a heck of a boast.
Yeah, see, that's not how markets work. If you take out one market actor, it creates a void, and somebody else is going to move into that spot.
Yeah, anything that would be called a city that only has one marijuana dealer is a just a fantasy in the mind of that marijuana dealer. That's not the case. Were it not for him, he claims, and while his criminal record includes charges of marijuana dealing, KUNC couldn't confirm the claim. Thanks to the state's central location, Lloyd calls Colorado a trafficker's dream. Ever since legalization, he says public perception of cannabis has changed dramatically, and that's made his job easier. Dealing marijuana used to be risky and confined to dingy and dark alleyways. But Lloyd says that's all changed. Quote, those days are over, he said. Most of the kids I'm correlating with here in Denver look like Justin Bieber. I'm not sure what that's supposed to mean. I guess he's saying
he was
that,
a clean-cut, kind of weak-looking kid.
I see what he's saying. He's saying the people in the black market. He's saying the black market dealers are a little more clean-cut looking than maybe they were in the past. At first blush, Colorado's illegal marijuana trade may appear harmless, but the DEA stresses these operations are often linked to more nefarious criminal operations.
The DEA is often linked to murder and kidnapping.
Lloyd, for example, currently faces 13 charges of human trafficking in Arapahoe County. Even if marijuana became legal on a federal level, it's likely that a black market would persist, similar to how cheap cigarettes are illegally trafficked into cities with high tobacco taxes, like New York. But of course, it's worth pointing out that you can't buy knockoff cigarettes in cities that don't have high tobacco taxes.
Yeah, that's where they get exported from.
Yeah, if you go to North Carolina or one of the tobacco growing states, you have no problem acquiring all the legal tobacco that you want to because the taxes are very, very low there.
And congratulations to North Carolina for being smart enough to take morons like the state of New York for a ride.
Right, and one of the things I did say to a couple of the state reps here in New Hampshire was, I'm against the whole taxing and regulation scheme. I'm against it, and I think you are too, Nobody.
Absolutely.
That would be true freedom for cannabis growers and sellers and users. But given that we know that politicians love to tax and they'd love to have their schemes, it seems unbelievable that we could actually have a state in the United States that has no regulations surrounding cannabis and has no taxes. So I said, look, if you're going to tax it, here's what you ought to do. New Hampshire ought to have the lowest tax of all the 50 states. So, kind of how New Hampshire has that it's like written into law that New Hampshire has the first primary in the nation for the presidential primary. Well, they could write their tax law on cannabis to say, no matter what other states do, New Hampshire will have the lowest tax rate. So if some state tries to lower their tax below New Hampshire New Hampshire just lowers their tax. So New Hampshire's tax would always be the lowest of all of the taxes. So if you're going to have a tax, it ought to be the lowest one so as to economically incentivize people, and as well as have fewer regulations as well.
Yeah. And that'll also make for a smaller black market.
We continue here. Austin is on the line in Colorado, he claims, watching us on Twitch at twitch.lrn.fm. Go ahead, Austin.
All right, so I think weed's good enough, but...
Huh? You got to hold it together, man. That was a terrible, terrible call. I don't know what he was trying to do there, but it was. I think that there's like some sort of a thing online where they try to make whatever it is really loud unexpectedly, and it sounded like that was going to get really loud there. Right. But I hung up on him. So toodaloo. And it looks like the board op dumped you too. I didn't hit the dump button on that one because I didn't hear any profanity. So I don't really think that was necessary, but anyway, it was just a waste of time. 855, 450 free. So a little bit more here on federal changes. Let's see here. So according to Forbes, Tom Angel writing this one, the chairman of the influential House Judiciary Committee authored a message to NORML, that's the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws, their email list on Monday, a notable signal of how the cannabis legalization movement has entered the mainstream corridors of power on Capitol Hill. Now, that's for better or for worse. I mean, there's no doubt that cannabis is becoming more politically correct, more acceptable to be like a politician and actually come out in favor of cannabis. That's happening now. We're seeing that. And that's kind of what this story's about. Representative Gerald Nadler from New York, a Democrat who filed legislation to remove marijuana from the Controlled Substances Act.
Hey, that sounds like a good idea.
Now, is that all it does? Well, I haven't read it, but apparently the claim is it will begin repairing the harms of prohibition enforcement. He's the one who wrote the letter to NORML, and he asked the advocacy group's supporters to write their own members of Congress in support of his bill, which is called the Marijuana Opportunity Reinvestment and Expungement Act, a.k.a. MORE. Quote, America has a moral responsibility to pass my legislation to end the prohibition of marijuana and take on the oppression at the heart of the war on drugs. Can you believe that a politician is saying this?
Wow.
He says, quote,
he must have his back against the wall if he's telling the truth.
He says, I'm proud to work with NORML to create a more just national marijuana policy. We'll talk about what his bill's proposal is to end cannabis' existence on the Controlled Substances Act. That would definitely be a big step in the right direction. There's more coming up here on Free Talk Live.
I'm a little obsessed with My Magic Mud. Several years ago, I met Jessica Armand, the founder and CEO of My Magic Mud, and I didn't even know my teeth were coffee stained. A week's worth of use convinced me, and now I use it every 3 or 4 days. It's clinically proven to whiten teeth, and I think it cleans better, too. My Magic Mud's available at most local health food stores, Sprouts, Natural Grocers, CVS, Walmart's Natural Beauty Aisle, but I can get it for you for 20% off with coupon code FTL20 at mymagicmud.com. FTL20 mymagicmud.com.
Do you have a crypto wealth advisor or coach? If so, has your cryptocurrency advisor been investing in technology stocks for over 20 years? Have they left the corporate world and retired? Or are they still trying to make a weekly paycheck? Have they produced six-figure results for their customers in the past 30 days? And very importantly, are they a member of the Digital Currency Council? Seth Maniscalco is the founder of Crypto Wealth Coach and CryptoWealthCoach.com. Seth invested in his first Roth IRA at 19 years old while living abroad and has been investing in Wall Street and technology for over 20 years with experience in all the money markets. By comparison, so many of these so-called crypto gurus have barely been alive for 20 years. Seth has not only experienced personal success from his own investments in crypto, he has also helped his clients earn 6- and 7-figure incomes, including helping investors make over $750,000 in EOS in 90 days and 1,225% in only 5.5 months with Chainlink. Seth has help for the small do-it-yourself guy on up to crypto whales. Increase your wealth. Visit CryptoWealthCoach.com.
You're not a wild animal, and you shouldn't be tagged and tracked like one. Where you go and what you do every minute of the day, tracked and recorded by your mobile phone, is often more revealing than your browser history. And tech companies make a fortune selling your location history without your consent. GoDark bags prevent location tracking and protect your privacy by instantly blocking all cell phone, GPS, and Wi-Fi signals to your mobile device. Plus, they're durable, water-resistant, and built for a lifetime of protection. Visit GoDarkbags.com/FTL. That's GoDarkbags.com/FTL.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project early movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com. LRN.FM now has a Discord. Discord is a free text and voice chat platform, and we now have our own server with a bunch of channels at discord.lrn.fm. You can join other listeners as they chat about various things during our live shows, or anytime, day or night. Discord software is available cross-platform, so you can have it on whatever device you want and take your chats anywhere. Join our Discord at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm. What do you shop for that you could otherwise buy at Amazon? Pretty much everything, right? Amazon has competitive pricing and they deliver, and that's a big plus. If you could plan ahead in your shopping, would you be interested in saving up to 33%? There's a catch. You have to do your shopping in Bitcoin. But imagine those savings. It's like a huge raise. All you have to do is go to saveatpurse.com. We've saved thousands, and you can too. Plan ahead and save. Saveatpurse.com.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, and you can join us here. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. We're talking about weed, we're talking about cannabis legalization, or cannabis cartelization, as you put it earlier tonight. Nobody, welcome back to the program. If you're just joining us, Ian and Nobody in the studio, and also want to make sure that you know, especially if you're in the cannabis business, how to accept cryptocurrency. Now, this applies to anybody that wants to accept cryptocurrency. But if you're in the cannabis business, you really ought to be taking crypto from people, because a lot of the folks in the cannabis business have a tough time with banking. It's hard to find a bank that's willing to let you deposit anything in an account if you're a cannabis business. But with cryptocurrency, you don't have to worry about any of that, because you are your own bank in the world of crypto. You're in charge of your own security, and you can store things pretty securely without having to have some, professional operation help you do that. Now, to accept cryptocurrency, there are some professional operations that make things a lot easier for you, like our friends over at AnyPay. You can go to helpmetakebitcoin.com. No matter what your business is, legal or whatever, go to helpmetakebitcoin.com, and you can get their app. In fact, you don't even have to go to the website. You can just download the AnyPay retail app, which is available on iOS and Android Play and App stores. You just download that and get it all set up from within the app. But if you need to go from zero, like you don't even have your own crypto wallet yet, if you're starting from zero, go to helpmetakebitcoin.com. They'll walk you through the process, and before you know it, literally within moments, you'll be accepting Bitcoin and Dash, Zcash, Bitcoin Cash, and several other cryptos. You don't have to take them all. You can take, your favorite 2 or 3 or whatever. Go to helpmetakebitcoin.com. They make it super easy for cashiers or service providers, anybody who wants to accept cryptocurrency from their customers. They make it easy. Helpmetakebitcoin.com. All right. So we're talking about this Gerald Nadler. He's a representative in the U.S. House. He's from New York. He's filed legislation last month, according to Forbes.com, to remove marijuana from the Controlled Substances Act, which would be a huge step in the right direction towards ending cannabis prohibition. And as was pointed out by this politician, he says this will help remedy the widespread iniquities and injustice that drug prohibition has brought upon tens of millions of Americans. Beyond descheduling cannabis, the MORE Act would create processes for the expungement and resentencing of prior convictions and prevent government agencies from blocking access to federal benefits or impeding citizenship status for immigrants due to marijuana use. So in addition to removing cannabis from the scheduling, which right now, by the way, it's still Schedule 1 on that list, which according to the federal goons means that it has no accepted medical benefit.
Yeah, which is just a straight up lie.
Yeah. It's outrageous.
Different other parts of the government admit the truth, but yet they continue to lie on that schedule and impose criminal penalties based on that lie.
Yeah, they are acting as though cannabis is one of the most dangerous substances on the planet, when in fact the opposite is actually true. But going on. Additionally, the law would levy a 5% federal tax on cannabis sales. So that's not good.
Nope.
With some revenue earmarked for job training and legal aid programs for people impacted by prohibition enforcement, as well as loans for small marijuana businesses owned by socially and economically disadvantaged people. So a wealth transfer, basically taking tax money and transferring it to people who don't have as much to open a business with, I guess is the idea. I mean, I understand what he's trying to do, but of course I can't agree with any taxes.
Yeah, well, to him, some people should be favored and other people should be disfavored. To me, all men are created equal.
Its introduction comes amidst what observers are saying is the most marijuana-friendly Congress in history. Less than 8 months into the 2-year session, dozens of cannabis proposals have been filed. 7 hearings have been held on the issue, and legislation to increase marijuana businesses' access to banking services has even cleared a key committee. So we're starting to see an unusual level of progress on this at the federal level, and I am hoping that we're going to see this become an issue in the campaign coming up in 2020, whether or not they actually end up, because again, bills being filed doesn't mean that the bills are going to pass, but at the very least, it is a promising indicator. Quote, with Chairman, by the way, this guy who's making these comments that we read, he is a chairman of the House Judiciary Committee. Now, that's a pretty big chairmanship as far as committees are concerned. So he's not just some, newbie, I guess you could say. This is a fairly influential member of the House. According to, Normal, it says here, quote, we believe the MORE Act will likely be the first bill to end federal marijuana criminalization ever to pass in a chamber of Congress, said Normal's political director, Justin Strickal, in an interview. He said further, quote, representative democracy is not a spectator sport. Now's the time for the majority of Americans who support legalization to demand reform from their legislators, just as Mr. Nadler's message to our members indicated. So I got to say, even though I'm against taxes, it's obviously a hard thing for a libertarian to make a decision on a bill like this. Like, when you're in office, you get presented with a piece of legislation. You can try to amend it if you want to, but the likelihood of being able to amend out a tax is pretty slim, because most of the politicians are going to support that.
They get fat off your tax money. They want to keep it flowing.
Right. So, would you, nobody, if you were sitting in Congress and this bill came before you, that would remove cannabis from the schedule, but add a 5% tax that's distributed in some politically favored way to whoever they favor. Would you vote for it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would too.
Yeah.
I'd hold my nose and vote for it.
Yeah, on balance, it's an improvement.
That's right. And that's really all you can hope for out of the political process is an on-balance improvement.
Yeah, I mean, the good thing is it doesn't sound like he's trying to establish a cartel at the federal level.
Yeah, it didn't say anything, at least in this summary in Forbes, about a federal regulatory scheme. It just said a tax.
Right.
So I hope that you're right about that and that they're not going to, layer on extra regulations from the federal level. That would be awful. Kamala Harris, who is a senator and also presidential candidate, did file a companion version of Nadler's bill in the Senate. Quote, In 1977, I cast my first vote as a freshman member of the state assembly to decriminalize cannabis in my home state of New York, said the chairman to Normal supporters. Since then, I've been committed to ending the criminalization of marijuana. The criminalization of marijuana is a mistake and caused grave harm disproportionately to those who are poor or people of color, and we must take action.
It wasn't a mistake. It was a genocide. I mean, Nixon ramped up the war on drugs in 1972. And
to go after the hippies and the blacks.
To go after the hippies and the blacks. And that's exactly what they did.
Hispanics.
So don't say it was a mistake. This was the government being scum.
The toll-free number, well, they can't help it. I mean, that's just what they do.
True.
855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. You got comments, you want to join us, you're welcome to. Our number, 855-450-3733. Or jump in our Discord server at discord.lrn.fm.
She's such a beautiful little puppy. I mean, we walk around the block, and neighbors always say, her hair is so beautiful.
Healthy and shiny and glossy. DINOVITE.com.
Fatty acids, omega-3s, and omega-6s are great for healthy skin and soft, shiny coats.
I would really recommend people starting their puppies on Dynavite before they get into what I would call the misery index. Bad skin, bad ears, bad breath.
Because if they're getting all their vitamins, micronutrients, microbials from the beginning, then you're not going to run into the problems associated with the allergies, grass, pollen, dust, dirt, fleas, ticks, you name it, and the itching and shedding down the road.
Our vitamins and enzymes replace the nutrients cooked out of most commercial dog foods.
Dynavite for life.
This is Ed Lukasevic.
And Cindy Lukasevic.
Inviting you and your pets to Dynavite.
859-428-1000. DINOVITE.com.
Negotiation isn't just something union leaders and sports agents do. Your entire day is a series of negotiations. If you have young children, you know that. In fact, your kids can teach you a lot about negotiating with grown-ups. According to the world's greatest negotiator, Herb Cohen, author of You Can Negotiate Anything. Herb says that kids understand the process of decision-making within an organization. When one parent says no, they'll ask the other. And Cohen says children persist and persevere. And like smart negotiators of all ages, kids know that no is an opening bargaining position. With money and attention so scarce now, effective communication skills have never been more important, especially if you're a job seeker. For more tips, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
Free Talk Live.
Why do you refer to someone that's a genetic anomaly as a boy pretending to be a girl, as if this was just some whim they took into their head overnight, as opposed to somebody who is actually born with a genetic problem, which means their mind and their body are mismatched?
We're not talking about the ones that have the two X and Y. We're talking about the boy who just decides.
Have you ever actually met and had a conversation with a transsexual?
No.
Well, it would actually be really a good idea to dispel some of your ignorance before you start spouting it all over national radio like there's not enough ignorance to go around in America. Goodbye. Bye, Felicia.
Oh, man.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM. You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. You dial toll-free if you want. Our number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. I mean, it's not like you could disagree with us on the things that we're saying here tonight. I mean, the people who favored cannabis prohibition have been silent on these airwaves for years. I mean, there was a time in the past where they might call in to talk about how they thought the war on drugs, specifically the war on pot, was a good idea, but I don't remember the last time we heard from one of those people.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing about bootlickers is when the government position changes, it takes all the wind out of their sails because they don't actually believe anything themselves. They believe what they're told to believe.
Yeah. And there was a lot of prohibition, or a lot of propaganda surrounding marijuana prohibition that was inculcated into the people for a very long time. But it's not hard to wipe away that propaganda when you've been told in your government school years that marijuana is evil and that the people who use it are bad people and that it's as dangerous as heroin. And then you get into the real world where you find out that marijuana isn't evil and it's not really dangerous, and the people that use it are actually your friends, your neighbors, your coworkers, and your family members. That kind of wipes away the lies.
And also when you discover that the bad people are the government thugs who are kicking down doors and ruining lives.
Exactly. Now, we're going to continue with a little bit more on what they're talking about doing at the federal government level, which would be to effectively end marijuana prohibition, to remove cannabis from the drug schedule, the DEA's schedule of narcotics, to remove that, not move it, but to remove it. Is a huge step. I mean, it's hard to even think that something like that could happen at the federal level, but it is actually being proposed. We'll get back into this story and take your calls and thoughts as well at 855-450-FREE. And on our Discord server, you can join our top 4 rooms there. They're on-air call-in line rooms, and you'll sound almost like you're sitting here in the studio with me and Nobody. But I also want you to go to local.bitcoin.com. Nobody is actually one of the top sellers over at local.bitcoin.com. You, along with another one of our co-hosts, Aria, earlier this week, probably are a good chunk of the entire site's business there. It's a great site. Anybody can get started selling and buying Bitcoin Cash with dozens of payment methods. Now, keep in mind, there's some due diligence you need to do here. Some of these payment methods are more or less risky than others. So there is some risk involved when it comes to dealing with people who are basically anonymous online, because one of the nice parts about local.bitcoin.com is there's no know your customer requirements in order to sign up for the website. So in order to create an account, you don't have to show an ID to the site. And further, the site actually encrypts the communications between buyers and sellers. So you actually finally have a global marketplace for buying and selling Bitcoin Cash that actually respects your privacy. Get started over at local.bitcoin.com. That's local.bitcoin.com. You know, one of the things I wanted to point out here that, and I'm not 100% sure on this, maybe you can back me up or correct me if I'm wrong on this, Nobody, but I think I've heard, and I think it was actually Weeda Claus who told me about this, that in New Hampshire, which is where we live, that the way the law is written is that whatever is prohibited is what is scheduled, meaning that New Hampshire's prohibition essentially is a mirror of what the federal drug schedule is. So there's not, as I understand it, there's not a statute in New Hampshire that specifies that cannabis is illegal. I believe that, this is my understanding, that it simply adopts whatever is on the federal drug schedule and says those are the prohibited substances in New Hampshire. If that's the case, and this federal bill goes through, and they actually remove cannabis from the drug schedule, that would de facto essentially end prohibition in New Hampshire.
Yeah, see, I don't know if that's the case. I'd have to look at that RSA, because the thing is, there are penalties specified based on what you've been convicted of, and the penalties are what you were in possession of, whether it was marijuana or cocaine or heroin are all.
Are you sure about that? Because usually the charge when you get busted for something is controlled substance, possession of a controlled substance. Anytime somebody gets busted for possession of cannabis, of course now it's decriminalized, so if you get popped with less than 3/4 of an ounce, it's just a ticket. But if you were to be above that, or whether you get popped with heroin, or whether you get popped with cocaine, or whether you get popped with whatever, it's not going to say possession of cocaine. It's not going to say possession of heroin on the criminal docket on your list of charges. It's always possession of a controlled substance. So, like I said, I heard this from Weedaclaws, and he's a guy who's done a lot of research in this. For those that are newer listeners to the show, Weedaclaws was never a host on Free Talk Live, but he ended up getting arrested for growing cannabis years ago here in New Hampshire, and he was particularly noteworthy beyond the fact that he's a libertarian guy. He fought it. He actually went to trial, and that resulted in some very interesting things. But so it might be worth looking into, because that if this thing gets passed, and I'm correct about this, that would do what we've been wanting to see happen here in New Hampshire. It would end prohibition. And since they haven't passed a legalization bill yet, we could then just oppose all the legalization bills, because then all those would be regulation bills. Because essentially you would have, if this federal change happens and marijuana gets removed or cannabis gets removed from the schedule, then you've got a completely deprohibited product. It would then be, in theory, it would be legal to grow, it would be legal to sell, it would be legal to possess in large quantities within the state boundaries of New Hampshire, if I'm correct about my belief.
It sounds that way. I don't know. I'd have to read the RSA.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be wonderful, though, if that happened?
It really would.
The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. Then we'd have to send a thank you note to the governor for opposing the legalization bills along the way, because he's been the stick in the mud. He's the governor in the state right now has been getting a lot of S for his opposition towards legalization, when, to the guy's credit, he did pass decrim. So when decrim was put in front of him, he signed that, whereas the previous governor wouldn't sign decrim. So it's been kind of like
Maggie Hassan, a name that will live in infamy.
Yeah, you and I had a little bit of fun with her at Keene State College one day. If you search for search the Free Keene channel for Hassan, and I bet you the Free Keene YouTube channel and that video will come up. It's pretty entertaining. But the funny thing about her was she was a Democrat. And she did pass, to her credit, she did sign medical cannabis, which was like a super weak version of medical cannabis, but she did sign that. But she opposed decrim. It took a Republican governor to finally get decrim passed, but he opposes legalization. Now, the typical, explanation for this is that his opposition to legalization is because he's buddies with the police. That he's the top dog when it comes to giving orders to the state police and all that, right? He's the executive administrator or whatever, and so he's got the cops whispering in his ear. Obviously, he's going to do what they want. But if that's
the cops are hired killers.
Yes,
they want to kill and they want to get paid to kill. Okay, and in order to do that, they need as many things to be illegal as possible.
Then why did he sign decrim?
Because his back was against the wall, I think. If he hadn't at least promised that, I don't think he would have gotten elected.
You might be right.
We're sick. We the people are sick of these prohibitionists.
Well, there's more here from this guy on Capitol Hill, this Nadler guy, the House Judiciary Committee, who is the chairman of that committee, Gerald Nadler, who filed a bill to end marijuana being on the schedule of controlled substances. His bill was endorsed, according to Forbes.com, by a group of justice-focused organizations such as the ACLU and the NAACP in letter to House leaders earlier this month. Quote, criminal justice involvement deprives individuals from low-income communities of color equal access to economic opportunity, the groups wrote. They said further, incarceration robs families and communities of breadwinners and workers. Thus, any marijuana reform bill that moves forward in Congress must first address criminal justice reform and repair the damage caused by the war on drugs in low-income communities of color. And I'd like to add that it's damaged everybody.
Yeah, I'm not of color, and I'm a marijuana felon.
Yeah, but blacks and Hispanics are not the only people who've had their lives ruined by the war on drugs. But we'll continue in moments. This is Free Talk Live.
Would you like to get back that full head of hair from years past? Introducing Reveal from GCNLife.com. Beverly Hills dermatologist Dr. Nathan Newman invented Reveal, which contains polypeptides with natural botanicals and no parabens, sulfates, silicones, or dyes for a salon-quality hair growth product. Reveal. Here's Dr. Newman.
I have treated a lot of patients who lose their hair and they lose their confidence. We've created a unique set of polypeptides, which we call HPT6. The HPT6 contains the polypeptides from 6 different plants. The scalp infusion treatment should be used on wet or dry scalp. The Reveal hair care system is designed to be used for men and women alike.
Get Reveal at GCNLife.com with a 30-day money-back guarantee. So try Reveal today at GCNLife.com or 844-443-6637. Plus a discount up to 25% off for Reveal at GCNLife.com or 844-443-6637.
Let me ask you something. What are you doing when you put money in a 401k or IRA, or store jumper cables in your vehicle, or purchase health insurance? You're preparing. You're preparing to ensure you have enough money for retirement. You're preparing for when your car battery dies, or to have assistance paying a major unexpected medical bill. That all makes sense. The same goes for building a food storage plan. You're preparing for when emergencies or disasters strike and shelves go empty at your grocery store. The best way to prepare is with My Patriot Supply. They've helped 1 million hardworking Americans become more self-sufficient. My Patriot Supply sells hundreds of items, including dozens of emergency food kits, at MyPatriotSupply.com. It could be an earthquake, a cyber attack freezing our banking system, or a disaster that shuts down our power grid for weeks. For all these emergencies and more, get your supplies and prepare today at MyPatriotSupply.com. No more rushing to find empty store shelves because you're too late. Do it now so you're ready. MyPatriotSupply.com.
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm. Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get 1 free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it! You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
Yep, it's Free Talk Live. You're invited to join us here. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. We're talking about a little bit of good news, and that is that at the federal level, believe it or not, there's actually a proposal that's been filed in both the House and the Senate to end cannabis prohibition. Now, they are talking about a 5% federal tax on cannabis sales, which that's not cool. But still, removing cannabis from the drug schedule would be a huge step in the right direction and something that many of us have just, I don't think we ever thought we'd see it in our lifetimes. It hasn't happened yet, so it ain't over yet. But nonetheless, the fact that you've got the chairperson of the House Judiciary Committee, who's the one who's pushing it, bodes fairly well for it. You know, when you've got the chairman, it would have to be that Trump would have to basically get in the way of this. If this passes, Trump would have to go against it. But he's signaled that he's in favor of marijuana reform. So
he's flip-flopped on it somewhat. But he's a big law and order guy, and he's also in the pocket of the pigs.
Yeah, that is true. He's been getting endorsements and such from police organizations, and who knows what he'll do in the ramp up to the election.
They want that overtime, and they want to have people to brutalize. So the police are not going to appreciate the idea of having fewer people to abuse.
No doubt about it. Although I will say this, having been to many of the various different hearings in New Hampshire, where we live, on the end of cannabis prohibition at various different levels, decrim or legalization or whatever, medical, we've been to a lot of these hearings. At some point, it just felt like the cops gave up. So like the very last hearings for decriminalization, the cops' attitudes had shifted. It had become like, well, we kind of see the writings on the wall here, so if you're going to decriminalize it, here's what we want. And so then they give all these strictures that they want surrounding the decriminalization. So, we can't have an ounce being legal. It needs to be, or decrim, it needs to be 3/4 of an ounce. We can't have a whole ounce.
We've got to be able to ruin people's lives if they have an ounce.
Right. So I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying that's happening at the federal level, but at some point their attitude changed from, my God, the world is going to catch on fire if we do any amount of decriminalization, to, well, okay, as long as it's got all these provisions on it, we're okay with it. So they did kind of seem to kind of give up to some extent the level of vehement opposition that they'd had previously. They still want control. They still want to be able to arrest people. But at some point, they give up.
I'm sure being connected to the establishment, they knew that the fix was in.
That it was inevitable?
Yeah. Yeah, because, these things aren't decided by a democratic process. These things are decided in advance in smoky, dark rooms.
Calling the proposal an important step to, quote, bolster communities ravaged by the war on drugs, the groups are pushing congressional leadership to see that it is, quote, swiftly marked up and immediately scheduled for floor consideration, unquote, following the August recess. So I guess they're off for the month. Quote, the hysteria around marijuana is starting to lift as states across the country lead the way in reforming their marijuana laws. It's time for the federal government to follow suit. This is Nadler, the head of the chairman of the committee. He wrote in his message to NORML's email list, he said, quote, marijuana is a public health and personal freedom issue, not a criminal one. We can no longer afford the moral or financial costs of the war on drugs.
Truth.
It's unbelievable almost to hear words like that coming out of an elected U.S. representative. And I'm sure this guy's terrible on a bunch of issues, but on this one at least, he's right. And he's right about the whole war on drugs. I don't know if that was his intention to word it that way, but he's acknowledged twice. Well, he's acknowledged once that most of the war on drugs is a war on marijuana. That's definitely the truth. That's where most of the spending goes to. That's where most of the busts happen. It's easier to find a bunch of marijuana than it is to find other drugs that maybe aren't as smelly, for instance. But to say here that they can't afford the moral or financial costs of the war on drugs is a statement against the war on drugs in its entirety, not just the war on cannabis.
Well, I hope that's the way that he intended it and that it was not just a misstatement.
Right. Now, the bill isn't going to end the entire war on drugs.
No.
It will just remove cannabis from the schedule. So to that end, it doesn't go far enough. I mean, the true libertarian solution here would be to abolish the entire controlled drug schedule and go ahead and abolish the entire DEA while you're at it. And I think that would pretty much solve the problem of the war on drugs, at least at the federal level.
One of the many alphabet agencies that does not exist in the Constitution. There's no constitutional authority for the existence of the DEA.
I think that's true for almost all of them, right?
Yeah.
New York congressman sent a separate email to his own campaign last month asking his supporters to sign a petition backing his cannabis bill. And then also last month, the Judiciary Subcommittee held a hearing on marijuana prohibition at which members of both parties expressed broad support for ending or scaling back federal prohibition, with disagreements mostly focusing on the details or the competing proposals to do so. So the fact that there are even competing proposals to scale back or end cannabis prohibition is also another good sign. It seems like if it's not this year, it ought to be next year, but it seems like maybe something could happen on this year. And as you probably know, if you've paid any attention to your local state's debates over this issue, one of the common objections, at least that we've heard here in New Hampshire from some of the state reps, is, "Oh, I can't support ending marijuana prohibition because it's illegal federally. So what's the point of ending prohibition? They're just going to come crack down on us from the federal level."
Which is absolutely moronic, because the fact that something's illegal on the federal level is no reason to duplicate that unjust law on the state level, or vice versa. The fact that something's illegal on the state level does not imply that unjust law should be replicated at the federal level.
Yeah, it's just cowardice on the part of the politicians that say that. It's them saying they don't want to take the lead. They don't have the courage to come out in favor of ending prohibition because they're afraid of what the federal government will think and or do about it, and that's just cowardly. Which is, of course, what you should expect from politicians.
What they should have done is pass criminal statutes against federal agents operating in New Hampshire on drug cases, and taken any federal pig who violated that law and thrown them in a New Hampshire prison.
Well, I would definitely support nobody putting forward legislation like that in the future.
I will probably do so if I get the chance.
Indeed. So, I'm glad to see this happening. It's some steps in the right direction. I applaud this. I obviously would love to see the federal government be abolished entirely, but as long as it's going to exist, they ought to not be involving themselves at any state level issue. If some state wants to continue prohibition, be it Utah, which, by the way, according to Riley Blake, they actually did pass medical in Utah. So even Utah is seeing cannabis reform. Some of the most prohibitive and religiously sort of oriented states, we're even seeing some progress there. So glad to see it.
Yeah, that's maybe we'll get to the end of it
in our
someday,
lifetimes.
Maybe
in our lifetimes, it could happen. So we'll keep you informed as this develops. There may be some progress this year, and if that happens, you're going to see, I don't know if it'll be a tidal wave, but it'll definitely be an increased level of states legalizing cannabis after the federal government removes it from the schedule, either because de facto, I believe in New Hampshire, it will just be de facto legal if the feds remove it from the schedule, or because some politicians all of a sudden decide they're going to get behind this now that the federal government has changed its mind because they were cowards and they weren't willing to do it while it was prohibited. But now, if it is no longer prohibited federally, then you may see more politicians coming out in favor of state reform. So we may see the tide shift to where a majority of states become legal if the federal government just gets out of the way. And
that's what happened with alcohol prohibition, I think, is that first a couple of states started taking action against prohibition, and then the federal government stopped, and then most of the states ended their own prohibition programs later.
So we will tell you more about that as it develops on the way here tonight. Of course, we still have time for you with your calls and thoughts. You can bring up whatever you want to discuss. In fact, nobody, I know you had a not so uplifting story about some protesters getting run down by a maniac driving a truck. Apparently, that guy works for the federal government.
They love maniacs.
And you've got that story on the way. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Plus, the Satanic Temple is back in the news. We'll find out what they're up to coming up in Hour 3. It's Free Talk Live.
Anarchadelphia is a conference dedicated to the principles of liberty, individual sovereignty, and freedom from coercion, located in Philadelphia, the cradle of liberty. Anarchadelphia seeks to shed light on issues such as geopolitics, blockchain economics, spiritual health and wellness, as well as exposing the Earth's sacred hidden knowledge, featuring Mark Passio, Max Egan, Derek Brose, Jeff Berwick, and many more this September 13th through 15th. For info and tickets, visit anarchadelphia.com.
Bitcoin.com has launched a trading platform at local.bitcoin.com, allowing you to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash via dozens of payment methods like PayPal, Venmo, bank deposit, remittances, or meeting in person with cash. There are no ID requirements to sign up for and use the site, and all communications between buyers and sellers are encrypted. Finally, a global trading platform that respects your privacy. Visit local.bitcoin.com to get started trading Bitcoin Cash. local.bitcoin.com. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com. So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
This is the Liberty Beat, your daily source for liberty news and activist updates. Produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. Online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow with your latest edition of the Liberty Beat. Gold is trading at $1,502, silver at $16.96, and Bitcoin is trading around $10,930. Today's prices are brought to you by InnoScale. Take off with Managed Cloud. Looking for a safe, secure way to store your important files online? Let InnoScale handle it for you. Their high-availability cloud servers are the perfect solution for clients needing one or more secure, scalable servers with built-in hardware failover protection. For details, see them online at innoscale.net. In the news, the morning of Jeffrey Epstein's death, shouting and shrieking could be heard from his jail cell, according to CBS News, while guards attempting to revive him were saying, "Breathe, Epstein, breathe." The Mind Unleashed reports that Epstein, who was reportedly in good spirits recently, meeting with his lawyers for up to 12 hours a day to discuss his case, was found hanging in his lower Manhattan jail cell with a bedsheet around his neck, which was reportedly secured to the top of a bunk bed. On Monday, Attorney General William Barr said the Epstein case was personally important to him and that the prison had, quote, serious irregularities, end quote. Notably, the staff at MCC reportedly violated prison protocol by failing to check on the high-profile inmate every 30 minutes. Epstein, whose defense attorney successfully lobbied for him to be taken off suicide watch about a week before he was found dead, was also supposed to have a cellmate. In a rare show of bipartisanship, the House Judiciary Committee has sent a letter to the acting director of the Bureau of Prisons demanding answers. The Liberty Beat is sponsored in part by Brave Botanicals. High-quality kratom and CBD at reasonable prices with excellent customer service. Brave Botanicals is activist-owned and mission-driven, and believes so strongly in the power of kratom, they're giving it away for free. Just go to freeounceofkratom.com for a free ounce of kratom delivered to your door. Just pay shipping. That's freeounceofkratom.com. This is the latest edition of the Liberty Beat. Find us online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. Your news now continues. Farmers facing record bankruptcies and collapsing incomes due to President Donald Trump's escalating trade war with China were not amused by U.S. Agriculture Secretary Sonny Perdue's joke about their economic pain during an event in Minnesota last week. Perdue told an audience of thousands of farmers gathered in a barn near Morgan, Minnesota, quote, "I had a farmer tell me this in Pennsylvania." And then the punchline, quote, "What do you call two farmers in a basement? A wine cellar," end quote. Some laughed at the Agriculture Secretary's joke, but other farmers booed and denounced Perdue's wisecrack as callous and tone-deaf mockery of the real hardship caused by the Trump administration's trade policies. Perdue's characterization of struggling farmers as whiners came after the Trump administration announced it will impose a 10% tariff on $300 billion of Chinese goods starting September 1st, a significant escalation in the ongoing trade war between the two global powers. It looks as though something big was taking place around Area 51 over the weekend, according to fragmented reports from various sources compiled by The Drive. The Mind Unleashed reports that the report notes that significant tests could have been happening over the weekend after learning that notices to airmen had been published that mark certain areas within the Nevada Test and Training Range off limits to any air traffic at any altitude. The notices to airmen are generally for military air crews, not civilian or commercial air traffic. They were first pointed out by an aviation enthusiast on Twitter. In addition to the notices, there were also reports of odd Janet flights, the nickname for the nonstop flights to Area 51 from Las Vegas's airport by onlookers. This activity was described as unusual and is speculated to be indicative of a major test event near Area 51. Support for the Liberty Beat comes from the Conscious Resistance Network, featuring videos, news reports, and articles from a spiritual anarchist perspective. Experience the Conscious Resistance at theconsciousresistance.com. How would you like to have your business featured on the Liberty Beat? You can. Just send an email to libertybeat@snls.news for details. This is the Liberty Beat, produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. The Liberty Beat is online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow, reporting for the Liberty Beat, reminding you, spread liberty with a smile.
If you're one of the many frustrated singles who suffer from online dating fatigue, you might just be in luck. A new dating website launched this week that caters to fed-up men and women who simply want to meet eligible singles with unbroken skin or open sores similar to their own. It's called Last Shot.
If you're one of those people who is just ready to throw your hands up in the air and start a life with someone who has unbroken lesion-free skin, or on the other hand, if you're open to someone who has boils and abscesses similar to your own, Last Shot is perfectly calibrated to your needs.
Boasting a user-friendly interface and affordable dues of $4.99 a month, Last Shot simply asks users to log in, then click yes or no if they have open sores. Within moments, they're connected with hundreds of eligible singles who have comparable skin conditions. Reviews have been overwhelmingly positive. Arcuri hopes to one day introduce an upgraded membership experience, which would allow exasperated singles to filter for specific skin conditions.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
Hey, it is Free Talk Live. Launching into the third hour here, you can take control of the airwaves. Our number is 855-450-FREE like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. We've got the Discord call-in line rooms. They're open and available to you over at discord.lrn.fm. With you in the studio tonight, you've got me, Ian.
And nobody.
Nobody, you wanted to discuss just a horrifying headline about a truck driven apparently by a government bureaucrat, a psychopath, into a group of protesters outside of a private prison. Now, I've actually pulled up the story here because I don't think you've got a device over there. Had you read through this? Was there something you wanted to say, or should I just share some of the detail here?
I have read it, but I didn't have any prepared comments. Let's just have a look at the story.
It does appear that there is some video here of the protesters outside. Looks like this is Rhode Island, Central Falls, Rhode Island. I would say an estimated, looks like dozens maybe as many as 100, perhaps, protesters. I'm not necessarily the best at estimating crowd size, but you've got folks with video cameras, a bunch of people in yellow shirts, and so he is moving into. So this truck rolls right up, and it's hard to say if he actually hits somebody. But according to the story here, the protesters, this is from Washington Post, the protesters were sitting on the pavement to block staff from parking at a Rhode Island prison that works with ICE, Immigrations and Customs Enforcement, when a black pickup truck swerved toward them. Protesters shouted as the driver laid on the horn, and the truck briefly stopped. And then, they say, the driver hit the gas. So maybe I didn't watch it far enough here. In a viral video captured by the protesters, oh yeah, yep, he definitely just rolls right on into him. So he stops initially as he sort of approaches quickly, comes to a stop. The protesters then gather in front of, more so in front of his truck, and he just goes ahead and rolls into him.
And for leftists who don't understand why we need guns, the reason we need guns is so when tyrants do things like that, you can kill them. In which case they will never do it again.
And that's self-defense. That was
absolutely that would be perfectly justified by self-defense.
Right. Even though this guy behind the wheel is a government bureaucrat, he was likely not on duty at the time. He was probably trying to come to work or coming back from a lunch break or something like that. So not on duty, he's probably not going to be protected by the same level of government protections that are normally in place. Like in a lot of cases, they get extra protections because they work for the state, like qualified immunity and sovereign immunity. I suspect that wouldn't have affected him there.
I don't know. They look out for each other.
That's
because
true.
They're all tyrants. They are all abusers of civil rights, and they have to cover for each other.
Right, which is why being able to defend yourself with a firearm in a situation like that is not going to result in, if that person behind the wheel gets shot to death as a result of him psychotically rolling into a crowd of people, he won't be able to get on the witness stand and testify against anybody.
And it stands as a deterrent against other thugs. After the shooter in Dallas took out 5 Dallas pigs.
Was that the recent, this week? That one that happened?
No. I'm talking
Dallas.
about the.
This
Philly. Was a Black Lives Matter rally in. Maybe not in Dallas, but somewhere in.
I think you're right. I think it was Dallas.
Yeah, it was Dallas.
A couple years ago or whatever.
Yeah, there was a shooter, ex-military actually, shooter who took out 5 Dallas police officers. And Dallas, of course, has a notoriously brutal police department. But I'll tell you what, after those 5 pigs were killed, 100 more retired.
Did they really?
Yes.
Wow.
And, because people, the cowards who work for the government, they don't want to have to fight a real fight.
Sure.
They want helpless victims.
They want obedience.
To abuse.
Yep, absolutely. They want people that they can easily push around and have no consequences whatsoever for their violent acts. So then they interviewed some of the protesters here, pointing out that it was a terrifying thing that happened. The viral video does show protesters screaming, jumping out of the way. Several were struck, according to organizers of the nighttime demonstration at the Wyatt Detention Facility in Central Falls, Rhode Island. Some were treated at a hospital. Thankfully, none were severely injured. The driver, Captain Thomas Woodworth, corrections officer employed by the privately run facility. The Wyatt Detention Facility, confirmed on Friday. Central Falls police working at the protest did not intervene. Of course, they didn't intervene.
Yeah. Well, pigs of a color flock together.
And the driver eventually walked into the prison after other guards pepper sprayed the protesters. So the cops who were there did absolutely nothing. They witnessed an, I don't know what you call that, vehicular battery? I don't know what the right term for that.
I mean,
is. Attempted manslaughter?
Attempted murder?
Yeah, it could be attempted murder.
I don't know.
Yeah. And the cops just stood there and watched as this happened. It did absolutely nothing.
And then pepper sprayed the victims.
Well, that may have been other guards at the prison who did the pepper spraying. It's not clear. It says here, other guards pepper sprayed the protesters. And again, it was a privately run prison, so maybe these people aren't even maybe this man wasn't even technically a bureaucrat. He might have been a private employee of this prison.
Oh.
Not that that makes things any better.
Absolutely disgusting. If this guy isn't taken down by the legal system, I hope he's taken out by some irate individual.
Oh, don't worry, nobody. The Rhode Island Attorney General's office and the state police, they're investigating the incident. Surely they will come out with some serious charges against this man in the truck.
I'm sure they'll investigate themselves and find that they did nothing wrong, because that's what government agents do.
So the agents blather on about how they're investigating, blah, blah, blah. Attorney General's office said in their statement, quote, peaceful protest is a fundamental right of all Americans. It's unfortunate last night's situation unfolded as it did. We urge all to exercise restraint as our investigation proceeds. No comments, from the cops here excoriating the man behind the wheel of the truck. No one saying that, well, it was clear from the video what he did was inappropriate. They haven't even said that. They've just said, we're investigating.
Yeah. We're trying to find out if it's okay to run down protesters in a car. We need to investigate, find out if that's acceptable behavior.
Now, the confrontation took place during a wave of protests around the country by Jewish groups against ICE, including a demonstration that shut down part of Manhattan's West Side Highway on Saturday, leading police to arrest nearly 100 protesters. Anthony's group, with its ties to activism to preventing future atrocities like the Holocaust, arrived at the prison around 7 p.m. Wednesday. The detention facility describes itself as a, quote, quasi-public corporation, unquote, has contracts with ICE and to house immigration detainees. The facility is operated by Central Falls Detention Facility Corporation and is overseen by a board appointed by the mayor of Central Falls, located about 7 miles north of Providence. So yeah, that definitely sounds like quasi-public. I mean, it's not really a private organization if it's appointed by the mayor, right?
Well, a prison cannot be a private organization because, they have to have their so-called customers provided by the state.
Courts.
A prison will always be a creature of the state, whether you call it public or call it private. It's just, if you call it private, it changes the business model. It changes the way you take the money out of people. But other than that, everything's the same.
If you want to join us, you're welcome to. Our toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE. We've got the Discord call-in lines. They're open, actually. Gentlemen waiting there. We're going to go to the Discord lines coming up. If you want to sound like you're sitting here in the studio with us, whether you want to comment on this psycho driving into peaceful group of protesters, these folks were just sitting down. Just sitting and standing, carrying signs. It's not like they were, rushing the place with bombs or something like that. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. You can bring up what you want here on Free Talk Live.
Does your dog itch, scratch, stink, or shed like crazy? Come to Dynavite for help.
Order a 90-day supply of Dynavite.
Dynavite for life.
Pick up 2 tubes of Doggo Suds.
Get the 3rd tube free.
Peppermint, tea tree, lavender, Doggo Sud shampoo.
Made with all-natural coconut, jojoba, aloe. Great for healthy skin and soft, shiny coats.
But no itchy, harsh chemicals.
Lather up, rinse away.
Try Doggo Suds. Buy 2, get 1 free.
At Dynavite.com.
DINOVITE.com.
Do you have a crypto wealth advisor or coach? If so, has your cryptocurrency advisor been investing in technology stocks for over 20 years? Have they left the corporate world and retired? Or are they still trying to make a weekly paycheck? Have they produced 6-figure results for their customers in the past 30 days? And very importantly, are they a member of the Digital Currency Council? Seth Maniscalco is the founder of Crypto Wealth Coach and CryptoWealthCoach.com. Seth invested in his first Roth IRA at 19 years old while living abroad and has been investing in Wall Street and technology for over 20 years. investors with experience in all the money markets. By comparison, so many of these so-called crypto gurus have barely been alive for 20 years. Seth has not only experienced personal success from his own investments in crypto, he has also helped his clients earn 6- and 7-figure incomes, including helping investors make over $750,000 in EOS in 90 days and 1,225% in only 5.5 months with Chainlink. Seth has help for the small do-it-yourself guy on up to crypto whales. Increase your wealth. Visit CryptoWealthCoach.com. Gold has definitely been on the move recently, and there is no more secure investment historically. McIlvaney ICA has been helping people take delivery of precious metals and find storage options for decades. They've helped thousands of investors with their precious metal IRAs. Call ICA today for your free portfolio review at 800-525-9556 or download their free report online at ICAGoldSilver.com to learn how you can double your gold and silver ounces even within an IRA. 800-525-9556. ICAGoldSilver.com.
I've been told no in many different ways.
I give you an order and you're going to obey it.
George, you can go this way. You can't do that and you have to leave here.
You cannot bring Simon to the rally.
Walk with me.
Well, I'm comfortable here, actually. Whoa. Hey. Who do you think you are? Excuse me.
There is no video and audio allowed in this office.
No, I have work today.
You ain't going to make it.
Wait on account. Now. Wait a minute.
Whoa.
Hey! Oh my God! Unbelievable!
Why are you running from me?
Because you're scared me. What am I being detained for?
You're being served.
What is this?
You're being served.
What is this? Bureaucrats have a funny way of telling people no.
That's the sound of the men working on the chain.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com. The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount.
Some of our live shows are streamed in HD on Twitch. Please follow and share at twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live, and you can dial toll-free to join us here. Our number, 855-450-FREE. Coming up, the Satanic Temple is back in the news. We'll tell you what they're up to, and you know it's some kind of shenanigans going on up in Canada this time. We'll get into it coming up. With you, it's Ian.
And nobody.
And our phone numbers for you if you want to join us, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We have the Discord call-in line rooms over at discord.lrn.fm. And I want to make sure that you know about My Magic Mud and the 20% discount that you can get with our discount code, which is FTL20 at mymagicmud.com. What is it? It's an amazing product that has had tremendous success since it was released, most of a decade ago, I feel like? It's been a long time since we first met the founders of My Magic Mud at the Porcupine Freedom Festival, and they were just selling one product back then, which was their classic black tooth powder made of charcoalized coconut shells and bentonite clay. It's an entirely natural product. You can swallow it if you want to. It's clinically proven to whiten teeth, and it is now available in big health food stores like Sprouts, CVS, Natural Grocers, even Walmart's natural beauty aisle. But you can go to mymagicmud.com to get yours and whatever other products they've got now, because they've also got a toothpaste, which I use here at the LRN studios, and also mouthwash and more. Go to mymagicmud.com. Use code FTL20. You'll save 20%. That's mymagicmud.com. Code FTL20. As we continue here, let's go to Red Devil. He's on the line on our Discord call-in lines. Go ahead, Red Devil.
Hey, how's it going, guys? First, I just want to say nobody on the radio is better than you guys.
Nobody is pretty good on the radio.
Yeah, you get it. Anyways, so I was just thinking about these red flag laws and everything, and then you got these local police departments that are wanting to not enforce these red flag laws, which I'm totally for not enforcing laws. I'm totally fine with that, but I wonder if their intentions are because they're worried that if they were applied to them, they would all lose their guns.
You mean because
which I know would never happen.
What you're referring to is the fact that domestic violence seems to happen inside the homes of police a little bit more often than it does in typical homes.
Yeah,
and not only that, but also mental health problems, things like that. Violence.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's every time I see a cop, he's flying red flags.
Heavy drinking. Yeah. I mean, this is not uncommon for the police to be abusers of alcohol and abusers of their wives.
Yeah, although I don't think it's realistic to think that the law would be applied to them, because it never is.
Right.
Well, I mean, you could go down a conspiratorial rabbit hole thinking that the federal government's just trying to take over these small-town districts so that they can impose their federal laws locally. Like, I mean, in Oklahoma, where they caught all the cops selling meth, the Department of Justice, U.S. Attorney General, they all ended up taking over the freaking court, the whole, the police department and everything. It took them years to get another elected official in.
Yeah, and that having the federal government in control of police forces does not strike me as a good thing.
No, not at all. But yeah, just something to think about, when you start thinking about all these cops, they're protecting us by keeping our red flag laws away. I doubt that's the real intention.
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't think anybody's ever called with that particular perspective. I mean, we were aware that in New Mexico, I think it was, there were several counties, in fact, maybe like a couple dozen counties, sheriffs who spoke out against similar laws there that had been passed recently in New Mexico, and they all kind of banded together to oppose enforcing those laws. Regardless of their reasons behind it, when the bureaucrats are doing something right, I think they should be told that they're doing something right. Just like you would praise a dog when it does something well, you'd want to praise the police for doing the right thing. And regardless of what their motivations are, I think this is the right thing to do. So I'm glad to see it.
Yeah.
No, I definitely agree with them not enforcing laws. That's for sure. I wish they would do that a lot more.
Yeah, they definitely need to be more consistent with this. We need to have sanctuary cities for drugs, sanctuary cities for prostitution, sanctuary cities for guns, for immigration, for all kinds of nonviolent crimes, so-called crimes. Thanks for the call tonight, Red Devil. I appreciate it. Yep, thanks, man. That's him calling in there on the Discord server. Sounded pretty good. It'll take, your normal phone call from your cell phone and dramatically increase the quality of it. So appreciate it when people call that way.
Oh, yeah.
So we were talking about this story you brought in tonight, Nobody, this group protesting outside of what's described as a quasi-public detention facility. And it is set up to where it's in, a town in Rhode Island called Central Falls. It's the Wyatt Detention Facility. It's got contracts with ICE to house immigration detainees. It's operated by the Central Falls Detention Facility Corporation. Now, if that doesn't sound like a government sort of seeded corporation, I don't know what does. Like here in Keene, New Hampshire, we don't have an immigration facility, thank goodness, but there is a what they call a Monadnock Development Corporation, I think, or something like that. It's got some name like that. This sort of generic named thing that purportedly exists to to encourage and cultivate development, but all it really is just a front corporation for the government. So it's not the government, but it's a corporation basically created at the behest of the government. So effectively, it's the government.
Yeah, well, that's I remember when they when Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, they were huge contributors to the housing boom, and they were created by the government. But then the government said, the government didn't cause this. These private corporations that the government created caused this.
Right. We're not doing this. We're not hitting you. We're not hitting you.
Yeah.
So the protesters showed up, about 30 of them, to shut down the main entrance to the prison by linking arms and sitting on the ground. At around 9 p.m., they moved to block the driveways into the staff parking lot. About 45 minutes later, the black pickup truck showed up. And by the way, I did post the link to the story that you provided here, Nobody. It's on our social media, so you can go to twitter.freetalklive.com to follow us on Twitter. You can go to toot.freetalklive.com to follow us on the Mastodon platform, which is much better than Twitter because it's decentralized. And also telegram.freetalklive.com. You'll find the links to this story and the other ones we've talked about tonight there. So you can see the video for yourself. That way, you don't have to take our word for it about what happened. Going on here a little bit more about the story. The group of protesters, by the way, included children and at least one protester in a wheelchair. Before the truck could get through to the parking lot, though, protesters gathered on the other side of the gate, shouting shame. Moments later, other guards from the prison rushed across the street to surround the protesters and then fired pepper spray. After the demonstrators fled the pepper spray, the driver then parked in the lot and walked into the prison.
Wow.
Final quote here from one of the protesters, quote, "If this is the way this correctional officer is behaving in public when people are recording, it's not hard to imagine the behavior is much worse behind the walls in the facility where no one can see what is happening."
Truth.
And that is a very prescient and relevant statement. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE because behind the walls, all you have to go on is the statement of the prisoners. And, of course, the guards are all going to contradict those statements, and so then people on the outside really don't know what's happening. 855-450-FREE is our toll-free number. The Satanic Temple is back in the news. We'll tell you why. Coming up.
I am giving away $100 in Bitcoin Cash on September 2, 2019. And I'm not giving it away because I like giving away money, quite the contrary. It's because I need a favor. Please go to demo.freetalklive.com and fill out the survey there as thoroughly as you like. There's an optional email slot, and if you put your email in there, you will forever be signed up for whatever prize I'm giving to incentivize people that month to fill out my form. Advertisers need this info on our listeners, so fill it out as truthfully as you can, please. Demo.freetalklive.com.
Anarchadelphia is a conference dedicated to the principles of liberty, individual sovereignty, and freedom from coercion, located in Philadelphia, the cradle of liberty. Anarchadelphia seeks to shed light on issues such as geopolitics, blockchain economics, spiritual health and wellness, as well as exposing the Earth's sacred hidden knowledge, featuring Mark Passio, Max Egan, Derek Brose, Jeff Berwick, and many more this September 13th through 15th. For info and tickets, visit anarchadelphia.com.
This is a special alert for business owners, consultants, coaches, folks planning retirement, entrepreneurs, and anyone who is saving and investing to build a financial future. You are likely aware that financial privacy for most people has recently died a miserable death. And let's face it, without privacy, there really is no security, is there? Bankrupt governments and banks on the verge of collapse are perhaps the biggest threat to your financial future today. The Lighthouse Law Club recognizes this and has been working diligently to provide safe, secure, and productive tools to ensure your privacy, your financial security, and your future financial well-being, despite the catastrophes which many people fear are looming ahead of us. Find out more with a variety of free videos on the YouTube channel for Lighthouse Law Club. Just search YouTube for Lighthouse Law Club and secure your future today.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up in any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and one with just the Edgington Post. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com. On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com.
Love what we do? Please help support our international satellite channels at patreon.lrn.fm. That's patreon.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. You can bring up anything that you want. Apparently, by the way, breaking news this evening, Peter Fonda has passed away.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah, he was. I enjoyed some of the movies that he was in.
Yeah.
So if you want to join us here, the toll-free number is 855-450-FREE like freedom. With you tonight, by the way, it's Ian.
And nobody.
And I want to say thank you to Riley Blake, who actually has been doing a lot of co-hosting with us as he's been vacationing here in New Hampshire over the last week or so. But he's also on the list of people to thank for being a Free Talk Live amplifier. Riley is a $10 a month contributor to the AMP program. And definitely appreciate that, Riley. So thank you for being on board with AMP. AMP, you can sign up for it over at amp.freetalklive.com. Be like Riley and get behind what we do here. If you like the fact that we're talking about opposing the government's tyranny on a 7-night-a-week basis here live on Free Talk Live, then please join the AMP program and help us get on more radio stations across the United States and beyond. You can go to amp.freetalklive.com to get signed up to do that. That's amp.freetalklive.com. You know, the Satanic Temple is one really entertaining group of people, aren't they? Nobody?
They really are.
They're not only entertaining, but they're also on target as far as their, let's call it, trolling is concerned, because it doesn't really seem like the Satanic Temple are really Satanists, meaning like they don't seem to actually believe in Satan. Seems like a lot of them might be atheists or perhaps maybe folks who are agnostic, but... One thing's for sure. Maybe there are some real Satanists mixed in there. I don't know. But one thing's for sure. They know how to stir it up, and they know how to get controversy working in their favor.
Yeah, the Anton LaVey school of Satanism.
Now that's the Church of Satan, right? LaVey?
Oh, is that a different group?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
In that case, okay, I know that their theology is explicitly atheist.
Okay. I thought they were humanists. It's the same difference, right, basically?
Yeah, basically. I mean, they do not believe in an imaginary friend.
So you're referring to the Church of Satan, and he was the founder.
And that's different from the Satanic Temple.
Correct. The Satanic Temple, I believe, is a newer organization. So LaVey, according to the internet here, passed away in 1997. So he was.
Oh, that's too bad.
He actually was born in 1930, so he lived for a while. And the Satanic Temple, I don't know when it started, but I suspect it was within the last 2 decades, because I certainly don't recall hearing about them maybe more than 10 or 15 years ago. According to, not even 10 years ago, founded in 2013. So actually the Satanic Temple's been around for less time than the Shire Free Church has been around.
Wow.
Although they've certainly had a much larger impact. The Satanic Temple, according to CNSnews.com, now their byline on this website is the right news right now, if that gives you some idea of the viewpoint of CNS News.
Right wing?
Yeah. I think C stands for conservative in this particular website, but here's what Michael Chapman has to say about the Satanic Temple. In Ottawa, Canada plans to hold what apparently will be the first public black mass in Canada's history on August 17th, so that's tomorrow night. A black mass is an inversion and mockery of the Catholic Mass, where the ritual is performed in reverse. I gotta say, I didn't even know that much about a black mass. Did you?
I did not. The only thing I know about black masses is they don't rape the altar boys after.
Maybe they do that at the beginning?
I guess.
From the end to the beginning, so they go backwards, and symbolizes the undoing of Christ's sacrifice on the cross and the undoing of Satan's defeat. Nicholas Mark, the national coordinator of the Satanic Temple, told Global News, quote, essentially it involves using traditional symbols and inverting them to create a ritual that is meant to be the opposite of the traditional Mass. In a real black Mass, consecrated communion host, or a consecrated communion host, is used. But Mark told LifeSite News that in this ritual, a consecrated host would not be used. Now, what is consecrated to? Okay, that's something sacred.
Yeah, so basically a consecrated host would have to be obtained from, I guess, the Catholics.
So they'd have to
I don't
steal it?
know. Like, can the Satanists consecrate their own stuff?
I mean, in theory, right? It's just
I mean,
sacred.
they could if that's in their religion. I don't know if it is.
The event takes place at the Coven, a heavy metal restaurant bar with a satanic atmosphere. Admission is $20 or $15 with a donation of clean socks for a charity drive. Pre-registration online is required. No photos or videos are allowed at the Black Mass. Well, that's no fun.
Aww.
Why would they want to? I guess maybe it's just an exclusive thing or whatever. But you'd think you'd want to get some photos to come out of this thing so people could pass them around and more buzz would be created about it. But
yeah, I
don't know.
I don't know. I'm sure they have the reasons.
Let's see here. Tickets, they say, are already sold out. Doors open at 10 p.m.
They may be concerned about getting lynched by Christians. I mean,
well, actually, this was the first time one of these happened in the United States, and I forget which city it was, but they did do a black mass at one point within the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
They actually had a secret location.
Yeah.
Because, one, the locations did not want people to know in advance because they didn't want to be targeted by, haters.
Mm-hmm.
And further, they didn't want the haters to come out the night of. So there would have been the advanced targeting of the location if it had been announced in advance. Mm-hmm. And then the night of, there would have been people likely counter-protesting. So only people who purchased tickets were given the location. In this case, they're announcing the location in advance. So it's a little different this time.
Interesting.
According to the National Catholic Register, quote, the Black Mass is a sacrilegious ceremony structured in imitation of the Catholic Mass. Invoking Satan, the ritual is centered around the desecration of the Eucharist, which is generally done by stealing a consecrated host. Okay, so that answers our question.
Yeah, well, I think that's probably why they're not using a consecrated host,
right, because
there's no other way to get it.
Right.
And if they're announcing openly that they're doing this mass, then to say they're using consecrated hosts
would be to admit to stealing.
To put themselves at legal risk.
Good point. And plus, they're not really Satanists, so it probably won't be a real black mass in that way.
True.
But they say that normally a consecrated host is stolen from a Catholic church and then used in a profane sexual ritual or defecating and urinating on the host.
Okay, I don't want any pictures of that.
Yeah, definitely not. Now, when they say, I went to church when I was growing up, but I wasn't a Catholic. When they say a consecrated host, is that like, a loaf of bread? Is it what is that?
Well, they use these little wafers for communions. Now, the thing is, when they're
supposed to represent the body of Christ.
When they're consecrated, I believe they're consecrated by the priest.
Yeah, okay. They're not Christ until then, right?
Out, exactly.
Okay.
So I think what they would have to do in order to do it right is to take the wafer in their mouth from the priest, but then not swallow it and use it for the for the mass. I mean, I think that would be the only way to get it when it was truly consecrated according to Catholic doctrine.
I'm going to switch over to the globalnews.ca website that they actually cite in the right-wing version of the story, just to get a little bit more on this, because obviously CNS News isn't going to, interview the folks from the Satanic Temple. Nicholas Mark, who is the national coordinator for the Satanic Temple in Canada, says that it's an expression of personal liberty and freedom, that he says the Black Mass isn't anything to be afraid of. He says, quote, that freeing expression is found in the blasphemy, unquote. We'll continue here more on the Satanic Temple and what they're up to. If you want to share your thoughts, maybe you're offended by this. Somebody just posted our one of our chatters in the Discord posted the Free Talk Live logo in reverse, so like upside down.
Nice.
855 450 free, like freedom. You can join us here in the remaining moments of Free Talk Live, which are coming up next.
Most of you know that heart disease is the #1 silent killer in the U.S. What if I told you for just $54.95 a month you could fight against heart disease naturally? At Heart and Body Extract, we've been helping thousands of people get back to a healthier heart. Don't just take my word for it. Check out all of the success stories at hbextract.com, or to order, call 866-295-5305. That's 866-295-5305. hbextract.com. Don't risk it when you can take charge of it.
This is George Norrie from Coast to Coast AM and History Channel's Ancient Aliens, and we're proud to promote amazing energy, nutrition, and skincare products from Jeunesse. Visit gcnlife.com for products like Luminesce. The Luminesce anti-aging skincare line restores youthful vitality and radiance to your skin, reducing the appearances of fine lines and wrinkles with stem cell technology. There's also Instantly Ageless, which works within 2 minutes, reducing under-eye bags, fine lines, wrinkles, and pores. Jeunesse has products to help you with how you look and feel in a very short time. Nobel-nominated Dr. Vincent Jampapa has designed several products helping the body perform better. Jeunesse products have a 30-day money-back guarantee, and they're available up to a 25% preferred price discount. See all of the amazing Jeunesse products at gcnlife.com or call toll-free 1-844-443-6637, 1-844-443-6637.
Fellow Patriots, my name is Todd Savage, founder of BlackRifleRealEstate.com. Like you, I was a prisoner of the alt-left sanctuary state until one day I chose to lead my family to freedom. Today we live on a sustainable 20-acre homestead where we shoot, hunt, garden, and homeschool our children without the tyranny of the nanny state looking over us. If you're ready to flee the city to the freedom of Idaho or Montana, our Black Rifle Real Estate team is here to help. Go to BlackRifleRealEstate.com. That's BlackRifleRealEstate.com.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com. LRN.FM now has a Discord. Discord is a free text and voice chat platform, and we now have our own server with a bunch of channels at discord.lrn.fm. You can join other listeners as they chat about various things during our live shows, or anytime, day or night. Discord software is available cross-platform, so you can have it on whatever device you want and take your chats anywhere. Join our Discord at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm. Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org.
Now you can follow LRN.FM on the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm.
Hey, it's Free Talk Live. Moments remain here. Enough time for you if you want to join us now. Our number is 855-450-FREE like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. With you tonight, it's Ian.
And nobody.
And don't forget, you can join us online over at freetalklive.com. Please follow us on our video platforms. We're on Twitch. We're on DLive. You can hit the follow button on either of those two, or both, if you prefer. Twitch.lrn.fm will take you to our Twitch channel, and dlive.lrn.fm will get you to the DLive. And DLive is actually the higher resolution of the two. We stream at 720p to DLive and 480 to Twitch. So if you prefer the higher quality, go with the DLive, but it'll still look great on Twitch as well. So that's one way you can follow us. And you know, I think we've dropped the ball on doing after shows over the last couple of weeks. There's just been so much going on here. You and I have been very busy.
It's true.
Nobody. I'm working on installing a new phone system here in the studio, so I don't know if we're going to do one tonight. But we will get back to doing that at some point here, probably on Fridays. It's tend to be our nights that we'll do an internet-only, video-only version of the show that's called Freer Talk Live, and you can only see those on DLive and Twitch. So once again, that's dlive.lrn.fm and twitch.lrn.fm. Nobody, do you recall when you first heard about the Satanic Temple? Do you remember what they were up to?
I don't. And partially it's because I wasn't completely aware of the difference between the two. What was it? The Church of Satan and the Satanic Temple. So being unaware of that distinction, I just have a kind of a vague idea of having known about them for a while.
Yeah, we've been covering a lot of what the Satanic Temple has been doing here on Free Talk Live over the years. Of course, they're noteworthy. I think they first got into the news, and I don't remember which state it was, if it was Oklahoma. I feel like it was Oklahoma. Anyway, it was one of those Ten Commandments controversies where the state in question had a large stone tablet out in front of the state house, basically, and it had the Ten Commandments on it. And so the Satanic Temple said, well, look, if you're going to get a Ten Commandments statue in front of this government building, then we ought to be able to have our Baphomet statue in front of the government building. And they came at them with a lawsuit, and there was like a moratorium put on the issuing of any new statues on the State House grounds until the lawsuit shook out or whatever. And then at some point during it, somebody actually rammed a car into the existing statue and destroyed it, and they claimed that they were doing it on Satan's behest. So it kind of got a little weird.
Oh wow!
At one point, and I don't
know which statue was this. A Ten Commandments statue?
Yeah, they rammed their car into the Ten Commandments statue, and so they also went after a couple other states for doing similar things. And I don't remember how the Oklahoma thing shook out, if they just at that point prohibited all kind of religious iconography from the State House grounds, or if it's still in play. Maybe the suit is still playing. I don't know.
Which is how it should be. I mean, I have nothing against religious displays.
Sure. Me neither.
But they shouldn't be on government land, because that's not government's That's not what government does.
That's not how this government was supposed to do.
A separation of church and state.
At least here, that was part of the idea.
Exactly.
They were trying to get away from a government in the UK that absolutely had an official state religion.
You know, and when you think about it, Christians should be more in favor of a separation of church and state than anybody, because if the Romans had separated church and state, Jesus would still be alive. Well, maybe not now.
Well, I mean, the whole claim of their story is that, that was the reason he was sent here. Was his whole purpose was to die for people's sins, which is just a crazy story, but regardless. The toll-free number, if you want to join us, is 855-450-FREE. It's a weird self-sacrifice theme.
Yeah. Well, I hope they're wrong, because I hate to think that the universe is that badly designed, But then again, I mean, we had a choice between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump for president, so maybe the universe was designed by a lunatic.
It, according to the globalnews.ca website, the organizer in Canada of the Satanic Temple is Nicholas Mark. He says the blasphemy is freeing. He's been running the group out of Ottawa since 2016. He's the organizer behind the Black Mass ceremony, which is to be held tomorrow night at the Capitol. Quote, to the Satanic Temple's knowledge, this will be the first organized public Black Mass in Canadian history. And they then go in to talk about what the Black Mass is, and we kind of went over that, where essentially the idea is they were doing a Catholic Mass, but in reverse with blasphemy, rather than worshiping the Catholic God. And according to British historian Richard Cavendish, who studied occultism and religion, Black Mass was written about, quote, more often in fiction than in real life, unquote. In one instance Cavendish called factual, he wrote about a report by a French journalist who was invited to a Black Mass in 1889. Published in Le Matin, the reporter said he saw a woman stretched out naked on an altar. After the Mass was read on her body, it culminated with an orgy. But it's the first recorded Black Mass that may be the darkest. Dating back to the court of Louis XIV of France, he is said to have sacrificed...
Is he saying that was the darkest?
No, he's saying
okay. Okay, go ahead.
He's saying this one that was the court of Louis XIV of France, where he is said to have sacrificed a baby in hopes of preserving his love for his mistress. Mark, the Satanic Temple guy, says that's the use of symbols and Latin, or there's the use of symbols in Latin text, but we do not believe in harm to any being whatsoever. Instead, the group's mission is described as facilitating, quote, the communication and motivation of politically aware Satanists, secularists, and advocates for individual liberty. That's not a bad, thing, necessarily. Who could be against individual liberty with the exception of control freaks and psychopaths?
Well, I would say cops, but they mostly fall into the first two categories.
Yeah, exactly. So, Simony Holt, a lecturer at Concordia University in Montreal, specializes in modern religious Satanism, commented on the Satanic Temple, saying, quote, for the most part, they are using Satan as a symbol, as a metaphor. Most of them are atheists, but not all. Even those that aren't atheists still aren't conceiving of Satan as a cosmic evil. It's more of a symbol of freedom, a symbol of rebellion against control. And, from that aspect, if you look at what the churches of today do, and the churches of the past as well, these purportedly good God-worshiping people, they actually back up a lot of evil with their policies.
Oh, they do. They do. I mean, they're vocal drug warriors on the whole. It is... the religious right is a lot of what pushed the drug war on America.
Absolutely.
They want to control your sex life. They want to control whether or not you have children.
Or whatever you want to put in your mouth as far as food is concerned in some cases. They have very strict prohibitions depending on which religious, sect we're looking at or denomination we're looking at. But if indeed, Satan is... to man, the equivalency of setting man free from those strictures, it's hard to really argue with that.
Yeah, well, I don't know if you look back, and I don't believe that any of this is true, or that Satan is a real thing,
Me
or
neither.
that Jehovah is a real thing. But if you look at Christian mythology, what you see in the book of Genesis is that God told Adam and Eve that if he ate that if they ate of the tree of knowledge, they would die. And Satan told them that if they ate from the tree of knowledge, they would live as gods. Well, they didn't die, did they? We're all here. So who lied?
Well, they died eventually.
But, you know.
But they got the benefit of knowledge in between then and there.
Exactly. Right? So, you know, I don't know. I don't have any problem with Satan. I'm more scared of Jehovah's followers.
Yeah, I mean, the Christian God is not, you know, by his own book, not a particularly loving character. The Christian God sends disbelievers to a fiery torment. Yeah. And that's just not what somebody who is a loving entity would do at any point. Yeah. So,
ain't no loving God got time for that.
Check out the Satanic Temple, see if they're up to something. They're always up to something in some place. And I guess Ottawa is going to see some action tomorrow night. If we hear more, we'll let you know how it goes. But it sounds like it's going to be closed off to the media, so we probably won't hear anything else about it. Or coming up tomorrow. See you then. freetalklive.com. Bitcoin.com has launched a trading platform at local.bitcoin.com, allowing you to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash via dozens of payment methods like PayPal, Venmo, bank deposit, remittances, or meeting in person with cash. There are no ID requirements to sign up for and use the site, and all communications between buyers and sellers are encrypted. Finally, a global trading platform that respects your privacy. Visit local.bitcoin.com to get started trading Bitcoin Cash. local.bitcoin.com.
I'm crazy about My Magic Mud. This is the most important oral care product created this millennium, and I'm not kidding. We all have different opinions on politics and issues, but we all have mouths. And I want yours to be as clean as possible, with teeth as bright as they were meant to be. I will never be without My Magic Mud. It's a little surprising, but man, does it work. If you only listen to one thing I say ever, go to mymagicmud.com and get 20% off with code FTL. mymagicmud.com, code FTL.
Are you tired of your taxes funding endless occupations around the world? Antiwar.com is run by people who understand that wars abroad become wars at home, wars on our freedoms. Antiwar.com is dedicated to bringing you the latest in news, views, interviews, and reviews from the top movers and shakers in the anti-occupation movement. Antiwar.com has it all, from thorough foreign policy analysis to interviews with whistleblowers who used to run the military-industrial complex. Anti-war, pro-free market. That's antiwar.com.
The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
The latest episode of Questioning Authority is next after the news on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
This is the Liberty Beat, your daily source for liberty news and activist updates. Produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. Online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow with your latest edition of the Liberty Beat. Gold is trading at $1,502. Silver at $16.96, and Bitcoin is trading around $10,930. Today's prices are brought to you by InnoScale. Take off with Managed Cloud. Looking for a safe, secure way to store your important files online? Let InnoScale handle it for you. Their high-availability cloud servers are the perfect solution for clients needing one or more secure, scalable servers with built-in hardware failover protection. For details, see them online at innoscale.net. In the news, the morning of Jeffrey Epstein's death, shouting and shrieking could be heard from his jail cell, according to CBS News, while guards attempting to revive him were saying, "Breathe, Epstein, breathe." The Mind Unleashed reports that Epstein, who was reportedly in good spirits recently, meeting with his lawyers for up to 12 hours a day to discuss his case, was found hanging in his lower Manhattan jail cell with a bedsheet around his neck, which was reportedly secured to the top of a bunk bed. On Monday, Attorney General William Barr said the Epstein case was personally important to him. and that the prison had, quote, serious irregularities, end quote. Notably, the staff at MCC reportedly violated prison protocol by failing to check on the high-profile inmate every 30 minutes. Epstein, whose defense attorney successfully lobbied for him to be taken off suicide watch about a week before he was found dead, was also supposed to have a cellmate. In a rare show of bipartisanship, the House Judiciary Committee has sent a letter to the acting director of the Bureau of Prisons demanding answers. The Liberty Beat is sponsored in part by Brave Botanicals, high-quality kratom and CBD at reasonable prices with excellent customer service. Brave Botanicals is activist-owned and mission-driven, and believes so strongly in the power of kratom, they're giving it away for free. Just go to freeounceofkratom.com for a free ounce of kratom delivered to your door. Just pay shipping. That's freeounceofkratom.com. This is the latest edition of the Liberty Beat. Find us online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. Your news now continues. Farmers facing record bankruptcies and collapsing incomes due to President Donald Trump's escalating trade war with China were not amused by U.S. Agriculture Secretary Sonny Perdue's joke about their economic pain during an event in Minnesota last week. Perdue told an audience of thousands of farmers gathered in a barn near Morgan, Minnesota, quote, "I had a farmer tell me this in Pennsylvania." And then the punchline, quote, "What do you call two farmers in a basement? A wine cellar," end quote. Some laughed at the Agriculture Secretary's joke, but other farmers booed and denounced Perdue's wisecrack as callous and tone-deaf mockery of the real hardship caused by the Trump administration's trade policies. Perdue's characterization of struggling farmers as whiners came after the Trump administration announced it will impose a 10% tariff on $300 billion of Chinese goods starting September 1st, a significant escalation in the ongoing trade war between the two global powers. It looks as though something big was taking place around Area 51 over the weekend, according to fragmented reports from various sources compiled by The Drive. The Mind Unleashed reports that the report notes that significant tests could have been happening over the weekend after learning that notices to airmen had been published that mark certain areas within the Nevada Test and Training Range off limits to any air traffic at any altitude. The notices to airmen are generally for military air crews, not civilian or commercial air traffic. They were first pointed out by an aviation enthusiast on Twitter. In addition to the notices, there were also reports of odd Janet flights, the nickname for the nonstop flights to Area 51 from Las Vegas's airport by onlookers. This activity was described as unusual and is speculated to be indicative of a major test event near Area 51. Support for the Liberty Beat comes from the Conscious Resistance Network, featuring videos, news reports, and articles from a spiritual anarchist perspective. Experience the Conscious Resistance at theconsciousresistance.com. How would you like to have your business featured on the Liberty